Okay, Scott. So why did you want to do this again?
Just because, sometimes you just got to stream. You just got to stream.
Oh, I see. Okay. Anyway, I guess I got the urge to get on and just, talk about a few things and stuff. And I'm still suffering from the political drama, kind of going around and around. And man, a lot of other. Oh, my ex works at a grocery store, and two customers, Trumper and non, got into almost a fist fight yesterday. So the shit is like boiling over all over the place. And it was over the wonderful White House meeting where our brilliant leaders did the craziest goddamn thing we've ever seen. Hi, James.
Hey there.
Ooh, wow. Me and Scott didn't jinx each other and put you in and put you out. So anyway.
I was too busy typing my howdies.
Yeah, you did a stream last night, James. What was that about?
Oh, I don't know. It was several hours ago. How am I supposed to remember what it was about?
Right. Yeah, I'm having that problem myself, to tell you the truth. But I stopped in for a moment, but I was in a different time zone, or I was in a different reality zone last night. So not just a different time zone, a different reality zone.
Oh, were you temporarily a Christian?
I was temporarily no, I certainly wouldn't say that. I was temporarily an old Swedish guy who couldn't quite get his mind around the language. That happened, and
in the future, you were a futuristic old Swedish guy.
Yeah, and there was an incident with a big Sam's Club package of Q-tips that. I should probably elaborate on that a little bit. Have you ever tried to open one of those motherfuckers without anything sharp? I mean, like just tried to open it. Like modern packaging has gotten so good at keeping your stuff inside the package that a normal person, without a lot of tools, without going out into the garage and grabbing a chainsaw or something like that, cannot open these packages.
I had an ex that had a trick for that. She called it Kegels.
A what?
Kegels.
Kegels. Oh, okay. Maybe that works.
Yeah, maybe that works. It's worth a try.
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just pulled something.
I tried the old karate chop, the old kung fu, and nope, that didn't do it. And that fucker just, laughed at me. It's just laughing at me. It was pretty crazy. I mean, it looks innocent enough, right? I mean, it looks like, okay, there's got to be a way in this thing, right? I mean,
right.
Because you can see, the goal is, the Q-tips. You can actually see them in there, and it's like, this is what I want. Yeah, well, the problems of the, that's why we got to make America great again, because these are really serious problems that I have in my life.
Yeah.
We need to really improve this country, because it really sucks really bad when you can't open your Q-tips.
Yeah,
for fuck's sake. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, got a little Jimbob on the table.
That's the only size they come in, I think.
Yeah, right. The little ones. He was on with TJump. Do you understand TJump's objective morality or objective morality?
Yeah, I understand it. I don't think it's a great argument, but I understand what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think what it is okay, we're all moral. So there's obviously something that makes us all moral. So he's saying that something is like an objective law, that just makes us moral. And it's as simple as that. Well, and everything is physical. Right? Yeah. Everything is physical, so it must be physical too.
Well, if everything is physical, then no matter what the topic is, it must be physical. So, I can just grant that one anyways. But, for him, it's about plotting progress, moral progress shared across communities and societies in the world. And so since there is this trend that holds true generation after generation towards an ideal then therefore it must be something objective that we're aiming towards. I don't think that's a great argument, but it's something. It's his contribution to us trying to think creatively about moral issues. And so on that front, I applaud him, right? But I don't agree with him.
Yeah, I don't either most of the time. I bought his book. He just published his book this morning. It's on Amazon. I should put a link to that if I can find it. Somewhere in my description. I should do my
Please tell me it's better quality than an Otangelo or...
Oh, fuck.
I can't remember the Donnie Deals and his partner.
Yeah. It is better. Yeah. He and a couple of a Christian wrote it, and then there's another Christian that does an introduction, and it basically takes the form of a dialogue between the two of them, and it is kind of. I mean, it looks well written. It looks fine. Only costs $10 for Kindle edition, so I decided to pop and buy it. Potangelo. So.
I shared he shows up everywhere still. Otangelo does.
I know he does. How does he do that?
He was on Deconverted Man's stream earlier.
Wow.
Was he? How did he do that?
And I did my good deed. I kicked $10 to Grayson the other day. He was out picking up garbage, and he was doing it to raise money for the museum. And I'm like, damn, man, you're just killing me with your goodness. So I kicked him $10.
Wow.
Yeah, what the hell? Shit.
Yeah, good guy out there picking up trash and donating it to I don't remember the name of the museum, but it's something that Doc works with, Doc Dino. So making us all look bad out there, Grayson.
One of those liberal snowflakes, you know?
Yeah. One of those do-gooders.
Running around doing good stuff. You know, it's like caring about other people. What is wrong with these liberals?
I don't know.
Well, I got to name one of the trash bags because I donated. So I named it Ken Ham. So
nice.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, he did about a half a dozen trash bags, and people that were donating, he let them name the trash bag. So
stuffed full of garbage. I think that really names Ken Ham for you.
Yeah. And he found this little messy spot, and when he was done, it was all picked up. It was very nice. I guess that's a hobby he does. So good for him.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, lots of groups, who really want to do community service and awareness. Picking up trash on certain days is really a service they can do, because that stuff collects, and there's just places where nobody bothers to go in and pick up trash, and it makes everything in your town look cheap.
Well, and he made a good point. He said, going to the gym is boring. He said, and I get ants in my pants sitting around. So he goes, so I go pick up the garbage. It does some good. Get fresh air, get some exercise, all in one. And that's a good point. We've got a regular couple that does the street over here that people honk at and everything all the time. It's good for those folks. Good for them.
Yeah, I don't know. Does every state have that thing where some company takes over the roads and cleans them up? Like, is that
they have what they call Adopt a Highway, where
okay, that's a federal thing. I wasn't sure.
I'm not sure if it's federal or state
anymore in the next year or two.
Yeah.
Right.
I think in Iowa they have something called Molest a Highway, because they don't pick up the roadkill down there. They just wait until the cars flatten it out into a big long red blob, and then they call it a day.
Route 23, right when it goes into Michigan over here, it's by a bunch of woods and forest and everything stuff. And the deer are just, hamburger all over the place. It's a nasty, nasty little place to drive through.
It's something else, because we have these roadkill crews that, pick up groceries for Kennedy and
I had a science teacher back in grade school. It was one of the greatest science teachers I ever had. I've talked about it before. He was a taxidermist, and he had a bad habit of pull over on the side of the road and embarrass his wife and everything because he's out there picking something up.
Picking dead shit
but
up.
he had the greatest science classroom because he had all his stuff either taxidermied. I guess is that the word, taxidermied?
Taxidermied.
Or there was, all kind of stuff preserved in jars everywhere, so it was the neatest classroom, to be in. It's like being in a natural history museum.
So, what the hell was I watching? Okay, it's this lady that comes up. It was about vaccines, and it was about, oh my God, am I going to get, are they going to pull my video because I said the word? Let's see. You're upset, okay, today?
I think it's really only if you talk about it, I mean, it's not so much words, it's the discussion.
So Debunk the Funk is the name of the site, and I'm going to try to link that, Debunk the Funk.
Just say amen and Jesus along with it, because those channels seem to get away with everything. So
so I'll put this in my description. But anyway, this guy, he wears a T-shirt that says, "This is what a scientist looks like." And let me go ahead and see if I can share him for a minute. He's having a talk with Dr. Paul Offit, who is probably one of the most renowned scientists in the world when it comes to vaccines. And they go through all of this bullshit with the guy that claims to have invented the mRNA vaccine. I forget what his name is, Robert Malone, that my conservative friends keep sending me links to his videos where he tells you how the mRNA vaccine is killing people and all that stuff. And these guys go over the history of it and the science of it very, very well. And it really is worth watching. So you want to watch that one. And then the other one to watch is, let's see here. I want to duplicate this. So you don't remember? You remember what your stream was about yet? I was wondering, was it about religion again?
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Okay.
There was a video that I found on Facebook, a short one, where they were talking about the correlation between narcissism and Christianity, and she made some pretty great points. It wasn't super well organized, but she made good points. And somebody was responding to that, where they were very upset with her for raising the issues. Because how dare you say anything about Christianity? Because that's not my Christianity. And so I'm like, okay, let's talk about the difference between your Christianity and everybody else's, and how unreasonable that objection is. And so the whole thing was really about that, or most of it was about that, about how Christianity really is organized clinical narcissism, and about how Christians that object to people noticing it are being completely unreasonable and disingenuous, because every time they say, "Oh, that's not what Christianity really teaches," it is what Christianity really teaches.
Yeah.
They're just lying, and I'm tired of hearing that.
Yeah. I don't know. What the hell does Christianity? I mean, if you look at the whole Bible and you add it up, does it have a singular message or a solid? Does it have any solidity to it at all?
No,
I mean, don't they talk about goats and sheep and all kinds of shit? It's like it just seems a little dated. I don't know. I'm not sure if I could.
Well, to be a Christian, you just have to say that you're awful, that you're sorry for it, and that you believe Jesus rose from the dead. I think that's it. The rest of the stuff can slide under grace as long as you don't blaspheme. So.
Right.
And then there's a few branches where you still have to do the communion every week or whatever, or
baptized or whatever.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much it. The rest of that book is a lot of filler.
A lot of narrative, a lot of mythological narrative.
A waste of good trees.
Indeed.
Let's see. I know what I can do. I can do both. Oh, I'm trying my shit together here. Jimbob may be dumber than we thought. That's a good video. Somebody should watch that. Let's see here. Okay.
So TJump is a good matchup for Jimbob because, as soon as he says, dumbass, he just says dumbass back. And when he won't stop talking, he just said, okay, I'm going to mute this and I'm going to give my answer on my channel so my audience can hear my answer. I like the way he did it.
Nice.
Yeah. So why would that be happening? I don't know why. Oh my goodness.
Well, while you're working on that, S.J. Thomason said something really dumb at her channel. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I shared it on mine, where she said that over the past 10 years, God has really been basically beating people up with natural disasters, hurricanes and earthquakes and whatever else. And so he's trying to get us to repent, and so that he can stop destroying cities with tornadoes and hurricanes and things.
I dropped a hint. I was like, what are you doing, SJ? Because she lives in Florida.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Maybe,
it's like, right, SJ? Well, I ain't getting hit with a hurricane here, SJ, right?
Right. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. So,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm just complaining. I reset all of my settings on Google Chrome because Yahoo took over my search engine somehow. And when I did it reset all of my StreamYard stuff. But anyway, so I had this. This was backwards until just now. But go ahead, James. Talk.
That's fair. So I told her, I'm like, look, we're at this really ironic moment between us where I have to defend Christianity from you. I'm like, but think about how many Christians there are in the world, and the fact that most of them would be really embarrassed on behalf of Christianity that you would say something like that in the public. Like, they don't agree with you. And she's like, you have no support for that statement. And I'm like, oh, great, fine. And so I went to a couple of actual, like, really popular Catholic websites, including one that's official, and I grabbed some quotes for her where they address the issue and say, no, natural disasters are not happening because God's mad at some sinners inside cities. It's just not a thing that's happening. And, they talk about how horrible it is to accuse God of that as a Christian, because then you're saying he's so mad at certain individuals in the city that he's just, bombarding the city with death and destruction, where a whole lot of innocent people are getting caught in the crossfire just so that he can, make a few individuals or, however many miserable. It doesn't make any sense, right? And they're
and how many Christians are being killed along with the sinners that he's trying to punish?
Right.
It's like, it doesn't make sense because, it kills everybody. So, it doesn't kill everybody, but it kills Christians and Muslims and atheists.
Believers. Yeah, believers, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like we didn't have horrible weather when I was growing up. Tornadoes were still a thing. They were still a big concern. You'd have F5 tornadoes on occasion, that would pull the skin off of cattle, that kind of thing.
And it's almost like it depends where you live, because one thing I like about the area I'm in is we don't have a lot of, natural disasters around here. Unless you live by the water, you have spring flooding, which they just deal with because they like living by the water, right? But otherwise, it's not too bad around here, and we don't have a lot of wild animals or snakes or, any of that kind of stuff. It's, it's pretty mild around here, and it's also why our climate around here is good for growing things, because it's not abusive or anything, right?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of weird how it lines up to, some folks live and you pay for it, right? You want to live by the beach, you pay for it with a flood, with storms and everything. Some folks decided, you know what? I like it over here, a little more inland, right? Yeah. And, and we don't deal with it, but we don't have a view either. So there you go.
Yeah. So, Whoopie Fruit is my new hero because I am also an atheistic or naturalistic presuppositional apologist. And is this breakfast tacos in disguise, or because?
Yeah, I was wondering if for some reason breakfast taco didn't want to be recognized here.
Yeah, but I mean, they want to make
just
that
great.
Yeah, I mean, he makes that facetious, but that actually is the very best of the presuppositional argument. If you distill it out and apply it to naturalism, it works very well for naturalism, because you have to presuppose that we can communicate, that we exist, that we're, you have to reject solipsism. You have to believe that you can figure out what's right and what's true. You have to believe in logic and all of that. And all of that stuff comes naturally out of the natural universe. So I am a real fan of that kind of stuff. And that is kind of the basis of my naturalism. There is absolutely, I mean, rejecting naturalism. You can reject naturalism if you go to a place where you get no sensory input that makes any sense at all. You quit eating, you don't pee, you quit doing everything, basically. You quit doing everything that has to do with the physical universe. Then you can claim you're not a naturalist. Because I reject naturalism. It's like, okay, fine, reject it. I got a little box for you. I can put you in. You can sit in there and you can, reject it all you want.
Right, because if I reject, that makes sense. I never thought about that before, Mike. If I say I reject religion and then go do just some religioning, well, then I haven't really rejected religion, have I?
Right. Yeah. Or if you use religion in every single moment, every day of your life, like we use naturalism in the physical world, then how in the hell can you say you're not, religious if you apply religion to everything? If that's all you do 24/7, religion. It's like, then it'd be hard to claim you're an atheist. So they claim they're not naturalists. They will not accept that. They will not realize that very simple truth that all of us were born into a physical, natural universe, and everything we do is about that and reflects that. And how can you deny that? So that would be presuppositional naturalism. So,
in fact, everybody's a naturalist at their base. That's where we start. That is the foundation of everybody's worldview, unless they're insane.
Right. Yeah, when you start reading the Bible, when you read the Bible, James, how can you read a physical Bible without being a naturalist, right? How can you read a physical Bible without being a physicalist? How can you listen to the sound waves that your parents are making when they tell you about religion if you're not a naturalist?
I guess you convince yourself that sound waves and books are all magic.
Yeah, but that comes later. Before that, you've already accepted naturalism and physicalism, so you can't deny it. Then later deny it. It's like, well, that's how you came to know what Jesus Christ was. I mean, you weren't born with the idea of him dying on the cross in your mind. It wasn't imprinted in you.
Right.
And if ever a baby is born and the baby just knows all of Christianity, the instant that he's born, let me know. I want to talk to that kid.
Yeah, that infant.
I seen you mentioned breakfast tacos is going to have Amy Newman on the 9th to debate, do the Hindu gods exist? So Taco have found a Hindu apologist, so that might be interesting.
What the fuck is a Hindu god? I looked into some Hinduism, and I don't think they all quite have gods exactly, right?
Well, Sadhguru said Hindus are easygoing. You want to make a god, that's fine.
Oh, okay. He's making,
yeah, if your neighbor makes a new god and you say, oh, you made a new god, and they say, yeah, this is my new god, and they make a little statue and a little shrine, they say, oh, isn't that nice? And the neighbors get along. So,
well, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
We're missing an opportunity for marketing, because we can sell kits like a Build-A-Bear workshop kind of thing, a Build-A-God workshop kit, where you could just make your own right there whenever you need one.
Yeah, they literally, I think they literally have like millions of gods, because you can, if your garden grows good, you can make a god for it. And your neighbor doesn't, do anything about it. They just say, oh, you got a new god over there. Isn't that nice?
I sort of, do that.
So in some ways, it works. Of course, they have a lot of problems with their religion too. But in some ways, it's kind of a neat idea where you just make another god and everybody's good. Everybody's got lots of gods. You got a god for the tree and the garden and the water and everything. And okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, Christianity's done the same thing. It's not like they've got the same concept of God they've always had, right? It changes over time. You remove a piece, you add a piece, you change a piece. Over time, it becomes something completely different.
And Catholics have their saints for just about everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to point out these two internet sites I'm going to put in the description. Rebecca Watson, Skepchick, and the other one is Debunk the Funk with Dr. Wilson. Dr. Wilson is a PhD molecular biologist, and I love the shirt. This is what a scientist looks like. That's pretty cool.
Oh, and speaking of Rebecca, she was on last night over at Bread of Life.
I know.
Examining origins. I believe that's her brother she was talking to.
Yeah, her brother is, an old Earth evolutionist Christian. So
yeah, and when she talked to him that one time, she ended up taking down the video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he was kind of making her look bad. And so it was interesting that I think it's the same one was back on.
So she doesn't want help.
Good. They have this weird deal where they'll pick a topic on Sunday or Monday, and they will the attacker, right, picks a topic. Like Rebecca's picking a topic this week, or her brother's picking a topic this week, and Rebecca is forbidden from researching that topic, and then they have to go live and defend the topic without researching it. And I thought, isn't this exactly what Christians do? They don't look at any of the research.
Right.
Her argument was, why do fossil footprints show up? And I'm sitting there saying, because some places erode and things show up. I was like, and the biggest thing, of course, I don't comment because I'm banned, but I'm thinking in my head, I could dig under my house and find dinosaur tracks. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
But you can't dig everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of places that are inhospitable that you can't go dig. You can't dig in Death Valley, or that ain't going to turn out very good. You know what I mean? So, it's just where they show up. Yeah, they've showed up, and so I didn't get her point at all.
I just listened to a few minutes of it, but she said, "Why do they last so long? It seems like they'd only last 1,000 years. Footprints don't last that long." And it's like, Rebecca, it's buried under a bunch of rock and sediment. That's
what was that term that we were looking for this morning?
Taphonomy.
Yeah, taphonomy. There's a whole process by which things are preserved, and taphonomy, it's the subject area that covers that. And even just the other day, Joel Duff was on there talking about footprints being preserved. And how, no, it does not mean that, that the flood was true because, they're only a few thousand years old. It just means that something wet and muddy got stepped on, and then some sediment of another, probably, I think, another
softer material.
Yeah,
softer material
over it, and so it all fossilized. It all hardened. It all turned to rock, and you can tell the sediment from the footprint because there's different compaction density and different material. It's easy to explain.
He answered. Yeah, he answered well.
Not looking up answers.
Yeah, he answered saying, in 1,000 years you might not find this fossil because erosion could take it away. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Now that it's exposed, right? Now that it's exposed, we have an opportunity to find it while it's exposed. But we're not going to find it, 1,000 years from now. It's going to be either eroded or else it'll fill in again.
Unless they remove it and put it in a museum to stop that process from happening. Right.
Yeah. And Ken Ham is famous for running around buying fossils and putting them in a museum. So he'll probably buy the footprints. They love to do that, and then they take the fossil out of the research stream, so they can screw science is basically what they want to do. Screw science.
Well, that one guy donated that Allosaurus or whatever because it was on land he owned or the church owned or something. So that's how he got the one, because a creationist owned the property, and in that area it was, which is not in all areas. Don't think you can go do this in all areas, but where they're at, they own what's in the ground. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
anyway, I thought her brother could have done a lot better if he had a week to research it. And I think they got it kind of ass backwards. You pick a topic, give somebody a week to research it, and then go ahead and talk about it. But just making shit up off the top of your head, he was trying to come up with a few things, and I kind of felt bad for him that he wasn't allowed to prepare properly. And I don't know where it went.
Yeah, she had to give it to him the one time because Dr. Joel was in the chat. He said something about ash filling in a footprint, and that's what her brother had said. So she said, well, there you go.
Yep.
We'll have to give you the ash one. So she kind of gave him the ash one.
Yep. And there's sand slides and shit like that. I mean, there's a lot of ways that can happen. It's just basically if you have two different kinds of rocks, there's a very, very good chance that as they erode, the harder rock is going to be revealed, like God is revealed. It's the same thing. Fossils are revealed, just like God. So, James, how much did you watch of it, or did
which thing?
Rebecca?
Oh, I didn't watch Rebecca's thing.
Oh,
Dave,
I
you
did.
didn't. Okay.
I did.
Oh, Dave did. Okay, I had it wrong. Yeah, how much did you watch?
I watched the whole thing.
No shit. Wow. Holy shit.
I mean, she never unbanned me, so I can't. Nobody will see my comments in chat, and that makes it not fun for me. So I don't go.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I wouldn't do that.
It just came up when you wrapped up, James.
All right.
It was up on the thing, so I clicked over and watched that.
Must be God's will.
Hey, we got a Jimbob. We got a Jimbob fan. Oh, so we should play some Jimbob for you.
Yeah, I watched this too.
Yeah, I only watched a few minutes of this. I watched a few minutes of Jimbob, and I'd had enough. But the thing is that, okay, Jimbob, dumb as he is, managed to, in a very, very stupid way, reveal something that all really PhD philosophers do all the goddamn time. And it's a little complicated, and it's philosophical, and I'm not sure how much we're going to get into it. But I kind of like to play a little bit of what Jimbob says about the physicality of concepts and morals and all that stuff. And this all goes to that whole big fight I'm having with Leo and everybody else about nominalism and all that crap. So maybe we'll get to a little bit of that. What do you think? Sound like fun?
Sure.
What should we talk about? Should we talk about what should we call him? Tea dumpling? No, that would be like
I like Jimbob.
Tito, our president, Tito. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I gotta try to tell you a joke. Okay, I'm shit at jokes. Okay, but this one is so goddamn precious, and my son sent it to me, and it is just so much on my mind. But it's an old Soviet joke. Anyway, every day a man stops at a newsstand and buys a state-run paper. He looks at only the front page. He curses and throws it away. And this continues every day for quite a while until the seller asks, "Why do you keep doing that?" And the man replies, "I'm looking for an obituary." And the seller says, "Those aren't on the front page." And the man says, "The one I'm looking for will be."
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, the one I'm looking for will be.
There's a meme that floats around that says, "Every morning I wake up and I'm disappointed that there isn't a headline I'm looking for."
Yeah, but that's an old Soviet joke, and I can understand why they feel that way, and I really, really can understand them a lot better now than ever before.
Yeah.
God help
well,
us.
Isn't it Mark Twain, the one that's attributed with, I've never wished death on anyone, but I've read some obituaries with great glee or something like that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. There was a girl that I lived with for a while, and when she died, it was the happiest day of my life. I couldn't. She didn't die while I was living with her. It was, some years later, and I had to call my sponsor and say, I'm really, really worried about myself because I'm, somebody I know died and I'm happy about it. And I can't, I had trouble with that one. I've never felt so happy. But I mean, she was fucking psychotic, man. She did things to me that she should have been arrested for. Anyway.
Well, I know wishing bad things is bad for your karma, but I'm not sure about if not, not wishing it, but just having a smile over it is the same thing.
There's hope. There's hope. As people
that's what I live by. Outlive your enemies and dance on their grave. That's the best revenge you can have. If somebody's getting you down, just put it in your mind, I'm going to outlive you. There you go.
I've never been such a fan of vascular degeneration and heart disease as I am lately.
One more cheeseburger.
In the aged, yeah.
McDonald's.
Texas fried chicken. I don't know if you know that they're planning on moving to Texas for some goddamn reason.
I just watched the video of them making processed chicken nuggets, and it's like, yeah, it makes you not want to eat that stuff.
Okay, so Hoopy Fruit and Fellow are getting into it. This ought to be good. Okay, where Hoopy Fruit?
Everybody's worshiping, thinking they have an argument, thinking they know science, thinking they know math and probability, but it's an old trope, and it's a very bad argument.
Yeah, the fine-tuning argument has been so seriously debunked. There are a few recent videos you could go look up on that. Atheists essentially are seeing 20 royal flushes in a row in poker. No, that's not how it works. Okay, so fine-tuning isn't an argument, let alone a rational reason to believe in God. It's just a shitty argument. It's like, here we are. This is the way things are. Oh my God, somebody must have made things the way they are. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And it's like, well, you wouldn't be thinking about it if you weren't here, and if it just wasn't the way it is. Things are the way they are.
If you go look at your living room right now, everything is as it is. If you moved everything around and put your couch over here and the chair over there and the table and the lamp over here, now it's different. Okay. That's fine-tuning to me. It's just, if it was different, it would be different. Yeah.
It would be different.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
If right now I haven't moved my living room around right now, so it is as it is right now. So it must be fine-tuned.
If carbon chemistry wasn't just so, there wouldn't be any intelligent life around to do carbon chemistry. So get over it. Anyway,
do you have something you want to present?
Oh, I did when it was relevant. We're past that now, but you can show it anyways. You can read it anyways.
Yeah.
We'll do that as a reinforcer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Was that a Mark Twain?
With great pleasure. Yeah. Okay, I was close. Close.
Yeah.
Oh, thinking they know XYZ is not a rebuttal? What? Would you assume 12 flushes in a row was by chance? No, I wouldn't assume it.
Cheating.
But if it happened, but if it happened and I had absolutely no evidence that the person cheated, I would have to accept that something extraordinary happened.
Yeah, there's just no logical reason it couldn't happen.
Yeah,
I was watching a professional card guy the other day, and he says, if you see a shuffle like this, and he does a fancy shuffle, he says, don't play cards with me. He goes, because no matter what happens, as he's talking to you and he's flipping the cards around and everything, he keeps turning up an ace of spades, and then he mixes them all up again and shuffles and does all this and everything. And then he flips over an ace of spades, and he goes, it doesn't matter. If you let me touch the cards, right, I'm going to set them up, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you get 12 royal flushes in a row, I'm going to assume I'm playing against one of these card guys that makes a video telling you, don't play cards against me.
Yeah.
I would really like this fellow, just to briefly top out, other than an argument from incredulity, what would keep 12 royal flushes in a row from happening?
Right.
There's absolutely nothing to prevent it. Am I saying it happens all the time? Has it ever? I don't even know if it's happened once, but there's nothing to stop it from happening.
Yeah, so when I was in 7th or 8th grade in Johnny Colorcran's art class, me and McCormick and Caroline Barone were sitting around at the table, and I dropped a color crane on the floor. And that color crane flipped over and stood up on end. And it landed on end, a color crane, with the little flat bottom. You can imagine how finally you would have to balance a color crane to get it to stand on the end. And me and McCormick started worshiping it. And we were like bowing down to this color crane, and Johnny Color Crane gave us a dirty look, and he came by and he grabbed it up and threw it in a box, and we never found it again because it was like 5,000 color cranes in that box. And we hated him for that because we had discovered God in the color crane. I mean, it was like, obviously somebody did this. That could not have happened by chance. I mean, hell, you ever seen drop the coin and seen that land on edge? I mean, that happens once in a while too. But that's, but aside from that, that isn't how life happened. Life was very, very likely to happen given the nature of the periodic table of elements and even the raw earths, which are Trump's favorite, the raw earths.
The raw earths. Yeah.
The raw earths, yeah. Raw earths. Got to get me some of them raw earths for our weapons. God, that guy's in charge of the weapons. Do they let him have that football? They don't. No, they wouldn't give
Fortunately, there's not actually a button. There's a process. So
yeah. Oh, so he'd never figure that shit out. He'd be like, what? Okay.
Well, he has to give the word, and then there's a chain of command that all has to agree, and then they have to all agree with in something else, the protocol, and does it match this, and this before, but.
Well, I mean, you raise an interesting point because he's changing the way that the structure of command works to where
that was my butt. Yep.
Yeah, he's only got loyalists now, and so now there's no checks and balances. He's just going to say, "Hey, I want to nuke a hurricane to make it not be a hurricane anymore," and everybody's going to say, "Yep, it totally does work that way. Let's go ahead and do it.
Let's do that. Let's." Yeah, rewrite reality. So Minnesota has like 6 lawsuits against federal government right now over his executive orders, including birthright citizenship, the transgender sports thing, and several other things. And so our attorney general is going up against federal, and they've countersued us on the transgender thing. So Minnesota and the federal government and Tim Walz are fighting it out, and our attorney general. We'll see how it all ends up. Yeah. Apparently, Minnesota is going to be cut off, and we're going to have to secede from the union. We are definitely going to have to get away from those son of a bitches down in Iowa because I don't want anything to do with them anymore. Like when I drive south from now on, I'm going to go around Iowa. I'm not going to go through Iowa. That's how I feel about Iowa. You know, and I know Leo lives down there, the poor son of a bitch. It's, you know, he's stuck right in the middle of that God-forsaken cornfield. Roadkill cornfield is all it is. Yeah, but you know, Iowa has more windmills than I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, they have just fields and fields of windmills. I wonder if they're going to deconstruct those because of the whales. I mean, you imagine how many whales those windmills in Iowa are killing? I mean, Christ. Yeah. I'm surprised there aren't dead whales all over the road in Iowa. You know? That'd be a bitch to run over.
Well, and messing with sea life comes from the blasting to check for the seabed to mount the windmills and everything. But they do not use the size of blasts that oil exploration does. And not a word about that.
Yeah, it was just like an exploratory thing to figure out where to put the windmills, right? I mean, it isn't like the windmills are doing this every day.
Once they make a boom, and then they read the ground, whatever, they know to how deep to put the piles or whatever to So
that's it.
Or to where to drill for.
My dad taught me how to fish in northern Minnesota, and that's how you do it. You light a stick of dynamite, you toss it as far as you can throw it, and you wait for the fish to come up. It's Minnesota fishing. We have a lot of lakes. We have a lot of fish, in our defense.
Yeah.
The government goes out with the electrode when they're doing the fish counts or whatever they're doing and stuff. Yeah, they go out and they electrode the water, and all the fish come up, and then they count them and check them or whatever they're doing. It's like, that's easy.
Yeah.
How come you can't do it that way? Yeah. Oh, there's a reason you can't do it that way.
This is a good one. 12 royal flushes in a row is infinitely more probable than a God that is merely anthropomorphizing the universe, a mind-dependent human concept that doesn't exist in reality. Who the hell is Hoopy Fruit? Damn it. I like this person. You theists reject the truth in your unrighteousness because you want to be the main character in a cosmic battle of good and evil. And that's true. They want humans to be like, they have no humility. Humans are just like, oh, the greatest thing ever. Just because we popped up on a little smidgen of dust, and we are doing remarkable things with this, the fact that we can look out at the universe and understand it in our own sense. But that understanding is just human understanding, and maybe the rest of the universe doesn't really give a fuck about it. Maybe it ain't so great to the rest of the universe. But the other thing is that when these Christians, when they say that, it had to be, somebody had to fine tune it, that couldn't happen all by itself. Well, no, it did happen all by itself. It did happen, and it didn't happen with any kind of designer. And you should be worshiping that. You are blaspheming the natural universe when you come up with this God bullshit. I mean, my God, they have no respect for nature. Nature should just snuff them out, because they're blaspheming nature. That's how I view it. My God is the universe and complexity. So.
Yeah.
And my God just is kind of like their God just is. It's like my God wasn't, created. It didn't have a beginning. It just is, Same thing. And it's all powerful. There is nothing that happens in this universe that my God doesn't do. My natural universe doesn't do. Nothing happens in this universe that my God doesn't do. So my God is all powerful. I wouldn't claim he was all good. Just, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any roadkill in Iowa if he was all good.
Right.
Okay. So
speaking of roadkill, he had a debate with TJump, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can share a screen. Present them on. I know you can't hear it if I do it the old way. Present. Okay, this is going to take me a bit. I'm not used to this. Okay. New. Does Morella. Okay, maybe that's it. Huh. Could be. Okay, there we go. Let's see if you can hear this okay. I think this is where Jimbob starts in with his brilliant argument against morality being physical.
Made by Jimbob. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll start your timer.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
So the claim is that morality is physical, and it's based on the reasoning that under the assumption that everything else
that was the first mistake he made when he said he was ready.
That exists is physical. I would just reject that statement, but we can get into it. He said all evidence of anything that exists points to physicality. That's not actually the case. Knowledge itself is not physical. You can't pick it up or observe it directly. Truth is non-physical. You can't pick it up or measure it directly. Meaning is non-physical. The laws of logic, the three classical laws, they're not found as matter in the universe. He said morality is probably a physical concept. To me, that's a contradiction. Concepts are abstract, definitionally non-physical, and physical things are concrete. That's why there's a distinction between physical and abstract, concrete, abstract. But further, if I would like to know TJump's moral theory on this, just stating that morality is physical, I'm wondering what the referent is that he's referring to when he says morality as a physical thing. Is it a force in the world? Is it a field? Is it like...
Okay, that referent thing is going to become important, but we'll just let him roll here.
Like gravity? Does it act on objects? Does it not act on objects? If it is physical, then it should be inside the category of nature. And if it's a part of nature and it's acting on things, then it's probably some type of law of nature. And so if he holds the position that...
Okay, so if morality is physical, okay, then it should act on things physically, right? So what is morality? Morality basically guides our behavior. Now, isn't our behavior physical? And isn't that acting on physical things? So TJump's kind of saying, yeah, there's this thing in the universe, whatever it is. And for me, it is the nature of what we are as primates, as animals, biological living things, that we naturally behave in a moral manner. And that moral there is pretty loose, because if we were a different kind of animal, we'd behave in a different way. My cats do not give a fuck about the misery of mice. I do, but my cats don't, right? So if we were a different kind of animal, we would have a different kind of morality. And if we were living in a different culture, we might have a slightly different kind of morality, but we're still going to have a lot of built-in stuff. But anyway, so Jimbob wants to go right to, well, then it has to be a natural law. And they're stuck on these physical law things. And I think he elaborates a little bit, but we can always go back if we want to get into it a little further. But there's some really interesting things about philosophy here, and some interesting errors that I pointed out. And I don't know if you guys got the patience to go through this, but let's let Jimbob finish. It doesn't take him very long.
Morality is some type of law that's impacting agents or objects in the world. For him to justify that, he's going to have to demonstrate what the referent is. What is it? What is it composed of? Does it have physical properties? And you demonstrated acting on an object and not acting on another object. The other thing that's assumed if it's physical, if it's whittled down to some type of law in nature, what we know of law of forces in nature that act on other things is that you can counteract it. So there are counter forces that are possible. For every force, I'm wondering, under TJump's moral view, what are the counter forces on this physical thing he calls morality? So I'm looking tonight for the ontology of morality, if it is physical. Like everything else that we know to be physical, we can point to physical properties. There are particulars. There's a way in which it exists. There's a location in which they exist. And I'm not certain that TJump can present the necessary properties to convince myself, the audience, that morality is in fact a physical item.
And he's done. And that's it. Okay. What do you think of that? So is this mistake obvious to everybody here? What he's doing with this? And we get very confused about this stuff because we have all of these things in our language, like concepts and ideas and properties. And we have all of these words that we've acquired. And that's our epistemology. And what he's doing basically is confusing epistemology with ontology. And he wants to find the ontology of something that is epistemological. Anybody want to ask a question about that?
I mean,
does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I agree with you on that. But at the same time, he's speaking about concepts the same way that he would talk about as God, where there's this phantom realm where things exist in reality that are non-physical things, and reality doesn't work that way. Once you say that something doesn't occupy any space, it isn't part of the space-time continuum, right? It isn't made of any kind of energy, then you've defined it out of existence. When we talk about concepts, the concept that exists in my mind exists as a relationship between ideas in my mind. Those ideas individually are encoded in my synaptic pathways. They are neurochemically encoded. They are a physical structure that my brain sends electricity through, which is also a physical process, a physical thing, some kind of energy doing some kind of thing in real time and space. And when I think about a thing, that entire process is physical. When I convey an idea to somebody else, the conveyance is entirely physical. So when he says like concepts are non-physical, and I'm like, no, they're not. Everything about a concept is physical, from how it's encoded in my brain, how my brain reads it, how I communicate it, and they always represent things in the physical world. We're talking about relationships of phenomenon and physical space and things like that. So it's always even referring to physical things. So from beginning to end, it's all physical.
Right. Yeah, it's like inside of our human world, our epistemological bubble, right? We've come up with language and concepts and ideas, but all of that is like interactively built, like with the world itself, right? So you didn't come up with those concepts without reacting to things out in the world, okay? And things out in the world are like my coffee cup, my cat sitting here petting his belly. Things in the world, okay? We can touch, we can approach things in the world in a number of different ways. We can walk around them, we can touch them, we can slice them, we can dice them. There's things in the world. And what Jimbob wants is for TJump to tell him, well, where's morality? If it's physical and it's in the brain, show it to me. I want to be able to see it like I can see my cat, right? And that's where the mistake happens. They keep jumping from one category, things that that we've made up in our minds, our little archetypes and our language and all of that, to things out in the world. And that is by the way, and this is just an aside and I don't want to get into it, but that's the reason why we have such a hell of a time understanding our own consciousness and why it is physical, because we keep expecting to be able to look at our consciousness and appeal to it just like we would a thing in the world. We want to be able to grab it, hold it up in front of us, look at it, rotate it, all of that stuff. So anyway, but you can look at brains and you can look at those neurons, and you're never going to find morality in those neurons, right? Just like you're not going to find cargo anywhere in your car. If you take it apart, look at the engine, you're not going to find how it goes. How does it go to the store? Like, I want to see it go to this. Show me where the go to the store is under my hood. It's like, no, there is no go to the store under your hood. It's what the fucking car does, right? It's like, here's a car. The car goes to the store. You can't confuse the two. So it's like category jumping. I don't know if that was a great example. That was not a great example. But.
I understand. Anyway. Well, you're freelancing. Yeah. It wasn't bad. I got the point of it.
Too bad. Yeah.
I've got to run, and I will be back in about 20 minutes if you're still on.
Okay, we'll try to be.
If you are, you are. If you're not, then I'll catch you next time.
We'll see you, James.
Oh, no. Right, we need you, James. We need you, James.
That's something nobody ever said with any seriousness ever. But I'll be back.
No, I'm actually serious. But go ahead. Okay.
I'll be back.
Anyway, so this thing about finding the referent, right? Okay, what is morality? Like, okay, what is the United States? Like, show me the United States. I want you to show it to me. How would you do that? I mean, think about that. Show me the United States. What is the United States? obviously there's a boundary, right? Where the fuck is that boundary? And if a fish crosses that boundary, somewhere, I think we put it, about 10 miles from the continental, from the edge of the continent or something like that. We have this like imaginary line drawn around the United States, right? And it's a convention we've come up with. But does the fact that I can't show you the United States, or the fact that it has a slightly fuzzy boundary, like what if the fish is halfway between, across the boundary, half the fish is in the United States, the other half, the front end of the fish is out. And what if it turns around, now it's an immigrant? I don't know. Anyway, I digress. But what is the United States? Just because I can't show you the United States doesn't mean it's not made of rock and water and peoples, right? It's a concept that we have. Okay, you two can jump in instead of staying muted, you motherfuckers. But you've got to think about it. You've got to understand, first of all, that human beings are these critters, right? That have these brains that have acquired this thing, and we make squeaky noises, and that's called our language. And the squeaky noise affects the stuff in our brain, moves the concepts around, all that. All of that is physical. But if you want me to show you morality in the brain, that ain't going to work that way. Just like I can't show you the United States. I can't take you outside and show you the entire United States. I mean, maybe if I got into a rocket ship, I could kind of show you the United States, but, there'd be some clouds in the way. I don't know. What do you think, Scott?
I think that's an incredibly good point. We should just stop it right here. I think you've just defeated all theism everywhere.
Okay, good. But, this is
I think Jimbob just misunderstands a physicalism. Now, he may be arguing against naturalism, yeah. But I think even naturalists think that, well, things like morality and conceptual things arise from physical phenomenon and are dependent on physical things. And if you take away the physical, you've got none of that other stuff. They say, well, we've got God, and God, is the ground of all being, the ground of all morality. Well, you have yet to prove that. You have yet to demonstrate what you're saying is in any way true. And so,
well, it's exactly the same as,
go ahead.
It's exactly the same as saying God is a ground of all morality. You can say God is a ground of all morality, or physicalism is a God of, or the physical universe, the grounding of all reality. I mean, what is the difference? What is the difference? The difference is that they believe that nothing can happen without a man-bear pig doing it. Like they're stuck inside of their tool-making universe, right? We are tool-making animals that interact with the environment. Everything that we think and know about is because of physicality and because of how we interact with objects. And if we were just a brain, and there was no interaction with an outside world, we would never have anything like concepts or language or morality or anything. We do it interactively. We learn language interactively. We learn how to deal with objects interactively. We make tools interactively. And they think that the only way that the universe could possibly be is if a primate made it. A fucking 5-fingered or 10-fingered primate made everything the way we make tools. And for some reason, even really PhD philosophers make the same goddamn mistake. They're constantly going in and out of these two different worlds, the epistemological bubble that we are in, and the ontology of what's actually out in the universe. And Jimbob doesn't have any understanding of physicalism at all. And he keeps saying he's doing an internal critique. He's fucking not. He's critiquing it as if there was a God, as if there was spirit stuff. He's saying, well, morality can't be physical. It has concepts are not physical. It's not physical. All this shit is not physical, right? Yet it all emanates from physicality. So, Ronald at the Indian Lake. Where the hell's Indian Lake? God, it sounds like a Minnesota thing. I'm sure we have about 6,000 Indian lakes. let's see here. What do we got? Personal morality and social morality. In societies, we set behavior norms to maintain order. Personal morality is learned from everything that happens. Human morality evolves over time. I think that makes sense. That's the other thing about morality, that there are circles, right, around morality. Like there is kind of a natural inbuilt biological morality that involves, we don't like to be angry. We don't like to be upset. We don't like to be afraid. So we have this valence where we move away from violence. We'll try to stay away from violence because we're built that way, right? And so it is natural morality to not want to kill other human beings. It is natural morality to love the human beings that are close to us, right? So there's this core biological morality. And then on top of that, we'll have, the cultural morality. And then around that, we'll have the legal morality, where we all get together and say, we're going to beat the shit out of you if you don't behave according to this rule, right? And we build that stuff. And when you're born, you're born to parents that are embedded in a culture, and those parents are going to interact with you and slowly build your morality by slapping your fingers when you do the wrong thing, right? A little tap on the fingers, or making a bad face at you or whatever. And so you're going to interactively shape your moral principles in the course of your first 12 years, hopefully. And so morality is not something that we can it's not some singular substance that we're going to find. I mean, it's a fucking word that refers to what? How we behave amongst one another. So I don't know why it's so hard for these Christians to understand that.
Oh, they understand it because they target people with 4 to 14. So they know that if you have to impress these things on young minds to get them to stick. So they full know what they're doing. They just don't like it if somebody gives a counter view to the young mind.
So we got a personal attack here. Is this Scott Duke? It would be wise to know all this before making your conclusions, but you aren't that wise, are you?
He's all
I don't
wise.
think you're very wise, fellow. You're not very wise. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
That's why Scott's here, because he's so wise.
Let's see. So you would calculate all the ranges where G would enable stars to form. You would then calculate the range of where it would be too large. Stars burn through. What is he talking about, Scott? What's happening? I don't know. Scott? Scott's typing? No, Scott's not typing.
Well, there's a reason that. Yeah,
this is an argument about the fine-tuning argument, and he was asserting all this stuff, and he's actually still just asserting stuff because I asked him to show the math, and he's just, at least he's trying, and I appreciate that, and I hope he doesn't devolve into calling names again, or getting close to calling names.
Yeah. So what he's talking about, how stars form, right? Okay, stars form because there was some innate inhomogeneity in the very early universe. Okay, when it was very small and condensed, and they don't know why that's happened. It's one of the problems in physics, and because of that, stuff coalesced because of gravity, because of curved space and time, and eventually those little suckers lit up like a nuclear explosion, and we got a star. So what is he talking about? We want to calculate the probability of all the stars. What are we doing?
It's one because they're stars.
Okay, there's no random chance. Okay, everything is causal. Nothing happened randomly. Okay, random means that we don't know what all the causes are. So us humans will say, "Oh, we don't know why the dice turned up 7 instead of 6," right? And we'll say, "Oh, it was a random throw." No, there's nothing random about it. There's something perfectly causal in why the dice turned up 7. And if you knew all the causes, you wouldn't be shooting your mouth off about random. And no physicalist who's worth a damn will think that all of this happened by random chance. It ain't the way it works. Unfortunately, mutations, we classify that, we biologists classify them as random. Turns out they're not all that random, though. Anyway, but they're causal. Everything's causal. Why?
Even evolution is causal. I was just watching that lecture the other day, I think from that place I shared the link with you, Mike, at universities lectures.
Okay,
even evolution works on evolution. It was really interesting.
Yeah, was that? Oh, I can't remember which one. Which one was that, Dave?
Esham, something like that. Hold on.
I don't know. Wish we could find that.
I got it saved here.
Good. Pop it up. Thor, your big fat belly is on my iPad. Okay, what are we gonna do about that? He's purring away.
Gresham College.
Gresham?
Gresham.
You got a link? Can you toss a link out somewhere? What you doing, Scott? Oh, Scott is fighting with this guy.
What are you needing me to do?
What are you doing? No, I want Dave to put the link out somewhere.
The link to
that.
this stream or some reference?
No, yeah, it was something else we were talking about.
Something else.
I was
Was
looking
that
to see if I had that one?
God, I can't think of who I was watching last week. Philip Ball. Philip Ball is a biologist that's John Maddox originally posted all these papers from the Royal Society where they were going on. Basically, it was about extended evolution. And Philip Ball is all about how biology really works. The genome does not create the organism. There's nothing in the genome that will create an organism. There is basically there's like this stuff called teleonomy that works from the top down, the bottom up, and from every level in between, every which way. So things from the top can control things at the bottom. And so what have we got? G, what the hell is he talking about? Life, G. Okay, he's got a mathematical formula here.
And I don't want to talk about the C word or anything, but that in that one lecture, he was saying that a lot of people who were not affected by the bug that was running around a few years ago seemed to have more Neanderthal in them. And something that protected Neanderthals long time ago was left over and helped you have a better immunity against certain things. Not all things, but certain things.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and that, that makes sense.
So yeah, whatever helped Neanderthal survive something, through selection was passed along through evolution. And yeah, that turned up thousands of years later here around 2020 as beneficial.
Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic, you hit upon a really important thing about evolution. When you have an eternity or an infinity as a time frame of possibility and probability becomes meaningless and is actually definite and not unlikely at all. And when you look at, we're looking at early evolution of body plans and multicellularity. We had an ocean that had, at a minimum, 10 to the 30th power one-celled organisms floating around. And I think it was more like 10 to the 40. I think that's where it all took off. And from that, basically, it was highly probable because you have 10 to the 40 organisms, each with its own unique DNA. Because there were probably some identical, but it was like all this unique DNA, and they were multiplying at a rate of about at least one per day, for 1 billion years. Okay, when you look at those numbers of possibilities of how many times the dice were thrown, you're going to come up sixes quite a few times with all of that possibility. And I think that's the place where abiogenesis is going to get real, when we start to figure out what were the quantities of those early one-celled organisms, how many biomolecules were created in all of those black smokers and things at the bottom of the ocean as the Earth was cooling, basically. And I think it's going to turn out that it was a primordial thick soup of organisms, and it took off and started chewing up all its carbon dioxide and energy, and basically created a massive Lenski experiment, a big, huge Earth-sized flask of possibility. And that's how multicellular life and body plans developed. And it's hard to get your mind around that, about, how you think one species, you think one cell did this, and then it developed a liver, and then it grew some fins, then they turned into legs, then it got hungry for air, and it developed some lungs. That's how our very inefficient human brain thinks about shit, right? But that isn't what happened at all. I mean, there was a massive, huge, astronomical size thing going on, and it was churning and moving, and it's very difficult to get our minds around how evolution works because of that.
I found the link. I put it in the excuse me. I put in the private chat and in the regular chat. It's a 300,000 year of history of human evolution. It's a good lecture.
Oh, that's okay. Good. Oh, let me go ahead and pop that up. What was that? Oh yeah. Gresham College.
They got a lot of great lectures over there. So yeah, you're looking for something to watch. They got a lot of great lectures on a lot of science topics, and some things about gods and dragons and mythology and where these things came from. It really shoots down the whole dragons are dinosaurs from the creationists too, because guess what? Dragons are all different. And there you go.
Yeah, if you start dipping into what modern evolutionary theory has come up with, according to the creationists, we're right at the crux of proving intelligent design because of the complexity that biologists have discovered. That isn't what's going on in biology at all. They're starting to figure some of this shit out, and it really is not what these Christians think it is.
Jimbob's got about a year and 9 months left. So
yeah, right before
he said 2 years. Yep.
Scientists, right? Yeah. Okay, so that was Gresham. I'm trying to put this in my description. Gresham College. Let me see if I can
Gresham
grab
College.
That. Been watching a lot of good things lately. So what I'm working on is the molecular biology of cell membranes and extracellular matrix, which is really cool because you can start to see how body plans develop and how organs develop and all of that. I've almost got this link. And it's pretty incredible how life works when you look at it at that level. Okay, got that in the description, guys. Take a look at that. So I don't know, is there more to say about this making the mistake of trying to find concepts? And the other thing is that, atheists will trip themselves, or naturalists will trip themselves up when they say, abstract things are not real. They're not, they don't have a place in time and space. Because they kind of do, and they do in two different ways. One way is that when you're thinking about abstract concepts, there's a physical process going on in your brain thinking about it. So it's physical in that way. But in the other way, the thing that the thing that trained your brain to think about what a cup is, what all the different cups are, right? It's a universal cups. And then there's the particular, this cup, right? The thing that trained you was also physical. And there's something about cups. Now, if you look at topology, a coffee cup has that handle. It has a little hole in it. And it turns out that a cup is the same as a donut in topology. Did you know that? That a cup is a donut?
That's why I support a donut Earth, because it's a donut.
Yes, donut Earth. Oh, donut Earth. That's a good one. I like donut Earth. Just do a whole series on that. But come up with a whole plan. Oh man, I missed 12 comments. So anyway, so what I'm saying is that abstract concepts are physically out there in the universe. That's how your brain got trained on them. That there's some homology out in the universe that trained your brain to know what a cup is. Okay. And you interacted with these things and you created this abstract concept. So it's physical in those two ways, but you're not going to be able to look at a brain and find a cup in there. That's the mistake that philosophers seem to keep making. They keep dipping back into this. Oh, that's abstract. And what are abstracts? And, do abstracts exist physically? And all this bullshit. They're trying to treat something that's basically in our epistemological bubble as something out there that we can look at and touch. And that's the mistake they make with consciousness. They think they're going to be able to, they think they have access to their own consciousness, and they don't. When you really work on it and you think about it, there's no way that your mind can see your mind minding. It just doesn't happen. And we have this strong illusion that we can, that everything is inside our brain, right? That sort of thing, or inside of our minds. And we really are in an epistemic bubble, and it's not a very good one. It takes a lot of work to get out of it and become a true physicalist. What's happening with Sco? Okay, we got Brooklyn Lou.
Well, that's what TJump was kept just saying, it's the brain. It's in the brain every time. Jimbob tried to say, well, what about all these things? And it's in the brain. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not an atheist because I'm a scientist or a philosopher. I'm an atheist because it's implausible to me. I think I'm a naturalist because I'm a scientist and a philosopher. I think that makes me worship naturalism more. I have great faith in the universe.
I just kind of saw religion as just more stories amongst many other stories that have been told, and I never really saw anything more special that made the religious text more magical than any other book of fiction, vampires or Dracula or anything, or Frankenstein or the mummies or any of those things, werewolves, lots of stories.
Yeah. Logical inference made me a believer. Moral arguments made me opt to be a Gnostic Christian. Yep. So logical inference can make you a lot of things, but logical inference is not something that's written in stone out there. You can logically infer your way to two completely contradictory beliefs, right? You can be a Democrat or you can be a Republican. You can be a Christian or you can be an atheist, all with logical inference. So I'm not impressed that you think that logical inference brought you to where you are. What if you're wrong? What if you made a mistake? What if one step was wrong? So anyway, okay, is Scott fighting with this guy? Yeah, Scott's still fighting with him. Had to simplify more costs of live tap. It is accurate. What the fuck's going on? I don't know what's going on. Fellow, I don't have to be smart to be an atheist, and you don't have to be smart to believe in undetectable gods. I kind of like Brooklyn Lou Skeptic. No, that's a new person, right? Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic. Welcome, welcome. If you're new or if you're it's probably Stupid Horror Energy.
Well, Brooklyn. I think I've seen that username before, maybe in Snada. Of course, Brooklyn will have to tell us where he got wind of us. So anyway, but yeah, I keep saying he because it looks like a male on the picture, but he may have been around before. Maybe he ought to just tell us about himself a little, not to put him on the spot.
Yeah. So when Penrose and Hawkins did this calculation, where did they get their data? I'd like to know. But, when you calculate the improbability of the universe, where did you get your data? Did you get the whole universe in there and you measured it and you came up with your wonderful opinion? I don't think Hawkins and Penrose maybe, because he's a little crazy. So.
What I'm getting here is the probability figure you mentioned is more commonly associated with fine-tuning arguments in cosmology and is not a result derived from the work of Penrose and Hawking. These fine-tuning arguments are often involve speculative assessments, maybe speculative models, and are not based on rigorous scientific calculations. So, I'll just have to dive deeper into that. But it would be certainly nice to have the academically published work of Penrose or Hawking or both to point us to that number, that probability.
So fellow, let's see, Brooke, okay. Basing your atheism on an appeal to ignorance, that is fallacious logically. Like, they have all this fallacious logic. Like, you go on to learn a little bit of logic and it becomes dangerous. But anyway, no, I just find it improbable that there's a man-like big thing that's somewhere outside of space and time that is taking his little man-like fingers and creating everything. I just think it's a silly idea, and I'm not convinced. And I've never been convinced all my life. So you're going to have to come up with something to convince me.
Okay, so it's improbable, and it seems impossible that we could be here naturally, but you still have to convince me to the degree where I can believe. And fellow, even though he's trying hard to do so, just hasn't done that. And also, fellow, you're saying Hawking, in a brief history of time, calculated that probability? I need this. I guess I can look it up on my own and look for that number, 1 times 100 to the 12th power or something. But yeah, if you got a reference or a quote, and if there are other publications out there, academically reviewed and everything, that would be great too. So,
the probability of us being here on this stream is exactly 1. We're here. Get over it.
Right.
Okay, so if you don't have sufficient observational data, do you think it's wise to concur non-existence? I don't have sufficient observational data on fairies and leprechauns.
Only Bigfoot.
Am I concurring their non-existence? I'd have to think about it a little bit. Leprechauns sound implausible. I have nothing in my lived experience of the natural universe that indicates that leprechauns could exist. Therefore, I'm an a-leprechaunist. Not convinced.
Joe's gonna stream here. In fact, I think it's starting, and looks like he's gonna have Red Pill Rob on there.
So I don't think. So can I link to somebody else? How do I do that?
I think you need 1,000 subs to do that.
Oh, really? Before you can do that? Well, let's go find Joe. Yeah, we will defer to Joe. Let me see.
I believe he's talking. Remember the guy we covered, Red Pill Rob?
Yeah, somebody just popped in. What happened? Somebody popped in. Oh, Brooklyn Lou.
I didn't do it.
And the page. Hey, Brooklyn Lou, you're here.
Oh, I was talking and I was muted. Yeah, welcome, Brooklyn. You can tell us a little bit about yourself, and I love your hat.
You don't need 1K. Maya says you don't need 1K.
Hey, how you guys doing?
How do you forward?
So, can
you sound like you're actually from Brooklyn? Yeah.
I was born in Brooklyn, lived in
500
my life.
Well, you should be able to do it, Mike. You got 500 subs.
Really?
You have to look for something that says to redirect. I don't know how to do it.
So, how long you been lurking in this community?
Say that again.
How long have you been lurking in this community?
Oh,
This atheist community?
Well, I've been an atheist for about 12 years. I used to be a fundamentalist evangelical Christian for most of my life.
Okay.
And I've been in the, I got serious about YouTube about really just a few months ago. So I've been posting some videos and trying to get my voice out there. Yeah.
You got a channel?
Started, yeah, I started a channel.
I'm going to give you a wrench.
What's
I'm
that?
going to give you a wrench. I'm going to give you a wrench, and you can post your channel so that we can all sub to it. And you say, I got to go find you. Okay, where are you?
Yeah, I'm in there.
Give
Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic.
Let's see. Channel, okay. Add as moderator. There you go. Standard moderator. Okay, so you got a wrench. You can post a link out now.
Let me see.
Should be able to it's your channel. And then where's Ronald? I got to give him a wrench. So fellow, we don't just automatically give Christians wrenches, but if you need one, I'd be glad to give you one. Let's see. Otangelo's the only one we don't give wrenches to. What? We try to keep his wrench off. Do you know Otangelo, Lou?
Yes. Hold on.
I'm subscribed. I'm already subscribed to Brooklyn.
I've spoke with Otangelo a few times.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
I'm subscribed to Brooklyn Lou already.
I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss.
I made a video of Otangelo about 7 days ago because we talked about his view of the atonement. You know,
I think I saw one of your shorts.
Yeah,
that's how I found you.
Let me tell you something. I'm taking this serious this year because I see a big shift in America towards like a Christian nationalism. And
I know.
I really want to at least do my 2 cents in trying to fight that off, in the public sphere.
I am going to put I'm going to put this out in, I'll put it in my description, your channel, and, you already put it out there? Oh, yeah, I
got it.
So we did it twice.
It's in the private chat for you too there.
Yep.
Somebody's already got it. Okay.
So
we're on
unsubbed.
it. We're on it.
Yeah. We're on it. Put you at the top here. Okay. Anyway, so what do you think of all the bullshit that we said? Yeah, the fundamentalist shift. The weird thing is that I don't think that there are that many fundamentalists. I mean, they're not the majority, but somehow they have all these things that they came up with around 1990, between the 90s and the aughts, where they, like the Wedge document, they have a plan, and their plan started with putting in congressmen, right? Like getting that going. And now they put in a fundamental friendly president. And the only reason that the Orange Cheeto is fundamentally, the reason he gets along with them is because he'll do anything to piss off liberals. That's all he cares about. He's not a real Christian or fundamentalist. So now they put in this power structure. And I, for one, am extremely worried about this country. When I saw that thing at the White House with Zelensky, I almost completely lost hope in America. It just, everything, my 74 years of actually being a patriot and caring about this country, it just went down the toilet. It was just flushed. And I don't know what the hell the future is going to be here. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't know. But yeah, we got to push back, I guess, as much as we can until pushing back becomes dangerous. because it might.
You and I share the same opinion. I mean, I'm 62 years old. I've always been American. You know, I was never from another country. And I used to have pride in my country, but I don't anymore. I mean, I'm kind of disgusted. And I think there's a link between, you know, religion and Trumpism. There's like a partnership there. And religion is a big part of it to me. And I don't, you know, I try not to do much about politics, although I certainly have an opinion. But being an atheist for the last 12 years and having most of my life as a born again, you know, Bible believing Christian, I think I have something to say about that anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what brought me on YouTube, and I really want to push it this year, you know. So and it's not easy, obviously, you know. It's hard to get people to pay attention, but I have time, you know. I don't need to have a real job, so so I'm going to spend time just sharing my opinions, and that's it, you know.
It'll be out there forever, hopefully, you know, unless I keep the internet down.
I'm not scared of a debate with Christians. You know, I'm not a scientist or philosopher, but I keep up to date on this stuff. So, you know, I'm not scared to debate Christians.
Dave and I are lifelong atheists, and Scott and you are former.
I'd say
would you describe yourself?
About what? I think I've been an atheist maybe 15 years. So we're relatively the same age, and we, you know, got rid of our religion, or our religion got rid of us, either way, about the same time.
Yeah. And it's I mean, I spend on my channel mostly like debating Christians more than anything, but it's always nice to meet people who are like-minded and, you know, don't believe in the gods anymore, you know, or never did. But it's pleasurable to talk to rational people, to me, you know.
Well, I like the stories, just like any other stories. There's a lot of great stories, and you can like religious stories. But like I often say, you know, when you go to the movie theater and you watch Superman stop a speeding train, hey, that's great. But when you leave the movie theater, don't try to stop a moving train, right? That's the thing. So imagination and all that, it's a wonderful, you know, gift we have in our minds, so to speak, you know. But it doesn't mean that just because you can make it up that it becomes reality, right?
Oh, I know. That's the thing that I'm seeing, is that there's this thing where, of course, we all can have creativity and imagination, and we all can enjoy a story or a movie, you know, but there's a difference between being able to understand reality from the, you know, the thoughts that we might have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in Christianity, it seems to me to be almost like a mental issue, you know, like they just cling so hard to this belief that it becomes something real to them. It's so weird to me now, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like not getting over Santa Claus, you know. Like,
it just goes on and on. Right? It's like, and it's a stubbornness, you know.
Yeah,
like
and there's a little bit of herd stuff going on, because there are so many people that believe this stuff, and it's kind of hard to go. You know, there's like a big pack of them, right? And they keep feeding the same thing back, and then they boil their children like you boil a frog, you know, and the frog doesn't jump out of the pan until he's 18. You boil your children in this religion, and that becomes the way you think about the world, and it just seems so goddamn natural to you. It takes a lot of doing to get out of it. There's like, I don't know, there's like kinks in the armor. Like I remember when I switched from Republican to far, far left liberal, and that happened around the year 2000. And it was like there was a little chink in the armor, and my chink happened while listening to Rush Limbaugh. And it happened at 102nd Street and Nicollet Avenue in Bloomington, Minnesota. I know exactly where it happened, and I turned them off. And that was the first little chink, and then another. And then I thought, okay, well, let me reevaluate this, and let me reevaluate this, and this, and this. And pretty soon, I'm not with that party anymore at all. I mean, I was like raging against immigrants and all this crazy crap. And then I started asking myself, why am I raging against immigrants? When was the last time I even saw one? I mean, I saw I saw what looked like Latino people at Home Depot, but I don't know if they were immigrants or if I don't know, but they didn't bother me. They were just buying boards, and when the hell has this ever been a problem for? So I looked at one thing after another and I asked myself, why is this a goddamn problem? Now, one thing I had trouble with is when they started tearing down the statues of Confederate generals. And I was, and that happened recently. And I was like, oh my God, they're tearing away history and they're killing the art and all that stuff. And then I asked myself, when was the last fucking time you ever went and looked at a statue like that? When have you ever even seen one? And I'm like, this is none of my business. Don't care. If it offends them, tear the goddamn thing down. And it was like one thing after another falls away. And I think it's that way when you do the deconversion from Christianity. That, like one little piece at a time. It's like, wait a minute. If that doesn't make sense, then this sure as hell doesn't.
It took about 3 years for me to leave Christianity behind.
Yeah.
Because I was, totally into it. I was all in, and
I think it took 20 years for me to leave the conservative asshole Republican behind. It took like it was like a 20-year transition, and I'm still working on it. I'm still doing things. So.
Also, I was a conservative Republican as well, but that was when I was a Christian, and that kind of left little by little after realizing there really wasn't a God and this was, not true. Then it enabled me to think about politics differently, and to think about humanity differently. And little by little, then I went from conservative Republican to, leftist, I'm not affiliated with any party, but my thinking went, to the left. So.
My parents took us to church because it was the thing that you did, especially 50 years ago. But I also had a lot of, I also had a lot of other books, you know what I mean? So I think the thing is, if you're only going to give your kid that one book, there's that big influence is just that one book. When you have a whole bunch of other books, it opens up, the imagination and the understanding and everything of there's a lot of books, right? And you can read books about just about anything. So I always, again, I was lucky, so to speak. Yeah, we went to church, but nothing was ever forced or pounded on us or, anything like that. And none of this, you can't have this book or you can't watch this show or, obviously age appropriate, but, if I wanted a microscope, I got a microscope for Christmas, right? So, when you have that, you have the paths to explore, whereas a lot of kids, they don't have that, and we hear it a lot of times where they couldn't read this, they couldn't watch that, they couldn't listen to a certain song, right? And then of course you have a very narrow worldview of everything, that you were limited to one. Yeah. And a lot of time, those are the ones that get angry later because they're like, I watched that movie. There wasn't nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And I like that movie now. I missed out on seeing that movie or whatever it might be. Yeah.
So I did a lot of self-indoctrination, when I was Christian. I got more and more into it, but I was purposely only reading Christian material, and purposely reading the apologists and trying to justify, the leap I made, and that's part of it. It's like you want to feel you're correct. That's why when I, seeing Christians in the chat and stuff, I mean, it's like a big thing to feel you know more than somebody else. I think there's an arrogance in religion,
And everybody wants to know that there's some magic words that, can cause that person to get a flat tire that just pulled out in front of you in traffic or something, but it just, as much as we wish it just doesn't seem to happen. That idiot keeps right on going and pulls out in front of somebody else, so.
Demeter joined us. Hi, Demeter.
Wishful things are aplenty. And of course, when, a lot of the battle stories in the religions, they're wishing to defeat their enemies. Well, of course you are. You don't want to be on the losing end,
When I was real young, Christianity in America, evangelical Christianity in the early 70s, it seemed to be more about, peace, love, and, what we now say is the hippie Jesus, but yeah. Today, I see, the Christian movement as being one of aggression, of dominionism. We have to control the country. We have to dominate. That's why I'm so concerned about it. It's not so much, the hippie Jesus. Okay, peace, love, and understanding, and do your thing. But when you want to take the rights of other people away, and you want to dominate the country and make it Christian, I've had enough of that. That's why I'm trying to get out there. I mean, that's a very, very bad place for America to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this whole dominating the world, which has come, where America's gonna somehow dominate the world. We're pretty strong, but we're not big enough to do that. If the rest of the damn world comes out against us, like say China and Europe gets together, I mean, we are screwed. We're going to be like a third world country. I mean, they put tariffs on us.
They got BRICS.
They could tear us down in no time.
Yeah, they got BRICS going on, and Trump has no idea what it is. And the reason we came out of World War II with a hell of a war machine, right? We, the most powerful war machine, and then we kept it alive with NATO and by doing all these things for other countries, and basically by being the nice guy on the block, right? That was going to fight for democracy, and what happened when we shit on Zelensky? Basically, what happened to our fight for democracy? Basically against, dictators and things like, I mean, it just all went to hell. And I think they got it all wrong. And I think we're really going to suffer because of this. I heard an economist saying that last year we got one order from another country to build a ship. China got like 1,500 orders.
Yep.
So we've been sitting back and just saying, oh, we're the greatest, come buy from us, without being the greatest and giving them a reason to come buy from us. And with BRICS and these other organizations that are going on, they're deciding that, hey, you know what? China treats me a lot better. When I go to visit there, they're very courteous and polite, and they actually abide by the deals they make. And, they're not just saying, look how great we are, come buy from us. They're actually doing something to say, see, if you come do business with us, we're going to stand by it. You're going to get this price. We're going to stand by it. All these good things. It's going to be built a lot more efficiently and faster than America can do it, which has been proven with their rail and everything else. And other countries are going, come build that boat or rail or airplane or whatever for me. I want some of that. And we're slowly losing it. And then Trump wants to further isolate us, which is not going to make any more sales. It's not.
You know, it goes back to just being a good person. You know, you could say being a good person, and we want our country to be a good country. You know,
right?
It's like,
right.
It's like,
yeah, the two should be the same. You know.
Yes. And when we destroy our word in the world, you know, it's like you make an agreement and then you just destroy it later on. It doesn't look good for the character of the country, you know, just like it wouldn't look good for the character of a person.
That's the true trickle down, is when somebody in another country just says, you know, I don't like what's going on over there. I'm going to do business over here. That's the true trickle down that's going to hurt us, is that, you know, you can, if you're weighing things out, you're a businessman, right? And okay, America and whatever other country has about the same price, about the same deal. And then you see some, you know, something you don't like on the news there. And you know what? I'm just not going to buy from it. These things do make a difference on the big stage. And Trump wants to go back to the old days, like Mike was just saying, post World War II. We were the country, we were building everything, everybody came here, but it's not like that anymore. You can't go back to that. Other countries are building things now, and it's not the isolation. We need to work together so everybody can make some money. We're going to just step back and say America's great, come buy from us, is not going to work, because we are not the lone industrial place to do it anymore, right? So you have to compete, and you have to compete so that everybody can get some of it. Again, instead of we're building one ship, they're building 1,500. Do the math. So who's making the money there?
This might seem out of left field, but I'm a computer consultant, is what I did all my life, and I worked for about 40 different countries or companies, and every time I interacted with a company and went in, the way the people treated you, the way the employees treated you and treated each other, and the level of happiness that they had, always reflected what the owner was like, the owner's personality. It was the most amazing thing. And when you go into a store, Walmart, Target, or whatever, you'll find that the employees are basically, they reflect the very top of the country, right? The company. It like trickles down from the CEO. If the CEO is a really nice guy, you'll find a whole bunch of happy people treating you well at the bottom when you get to the checkout. And that's kind of the same thing with politics. If you have a country with a decent moral backbone, right, that morality is going to flow all the way down. It's going to trickle down. So we have JG here and Simon.
Yes, morality and ethics. There you go.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
how you guys doing?
So JG is a pre-supper. Do you know him, Brooklyn?
We're all pre-suppers. I just focus on
presuppositions.
I
don't.
Oh my God! So
it's pre-supper
here.
It's pre-supper here too. I got a chicken in the oven.
Yeah, we all presuppose things. Come on.
I gotta go because I just popped on to say hello and introduce myself. But
yeah, we all got to go.
Thank you for having me on for a minute. And anyone who wants to actually chat, of course, get on my channel and I can talk to anyone. I do lives because I like to chat live when I have time. So thank you guys.
See you later.
All right. Bye.
Yep, and your channel's in the description. So
thank you so much for that.
Promote it. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
So P. Mars tried to get in and I wouldn't let him. So I've never had a good experience with P. Mars.
Yeah, anyway, I had come across Brooklyn, I think, from one of his shorts. So yeah, I subbed good stuff over there.
Okay, just a slight a fellow posted some stuff about cellular intelligence. Like they're finding out that slime molds are showing, like slime molds and octopus are showing amazing intelligence with, you know, minimal, like either no neurons or minimal neurons, and he's making a big deal of that. But this Audrey Dussitar has written a bunch of papers, which I will look at. But for the most part, what you're saying, I'm pretty sure, fellow, is bullshit. So there you go. Bullshit. Anyway, James is back. So now we got a panel. Now we got JG. Oh boy, JG against the world, against a naturalist panel.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were did you do some Jimbob stuff earlier? I just saw your stream. I didn't get a chance to see.
Yeah, Jimbob is just—he's not a very good philosopher. He knows enough to be to sound like he's supposed to know what he's talking about, but he says some really dumb things. He's somebody commented that he's a lot dumber than I give him credit for. Who was Mark Reed? Yeah, I commented on Mark Reed's channel. Mark Reed said, you really, basically, you didn't say it hard enough, that Jimbob doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
That's not really a good argument, though, is it? You got to be specific about the particular arguments.
I went through it, how he's confusing basically epistemology and ontology, and you don't look at some concept or some word that humans have and say, oh, you know, if it's physical, show it to me. It's like, no, if it's in your goddamn brain, or if it's something that humans talk about, it's going to be, if you were to look at the physicality of that, it isn't something that you could look at all at once, right? It's a huge process in the physical world that's going on.
You guys are still looking for it, aren't you?
Looking for what?
Some of the stuff that you claim is physical. Isn't that what he's doing? He's pointing out that you guys are still looking for it, that it's not actually been brought to the table through science.
I don't know. I think science has pretty much got a handle on everything. I can talk in depth about any aspect of it, but unfortunately, the way you guys are phrasing it, like, oh, show me how something evolved, okay, like how the liver evolved, okay, that's going to take me weeks and weeks and months and months, and hundreds of drawings. I mean, I'm not going to just be able to show you how liver evolved, right?
Show me that.
Nor can I show you how morality is physical, right?
Well, you think it's physical. That was interesting with TJump, how he thinks it's a physical particle. You're on board with that?
Tom is a friend, so call him TJump, please.
Oh, we can't call him TJump?
Well, I guess, I call Jimbob dumb.
Dumb right. Like it goes with the territory,
okay,
right?
Like,
we call him TJump.
Okay. I'll give you that.
I think TJump around is more suitable because he does tend to jump around pretty well. He's pretty good at moving around a conversation.
He's a brilliant man, and I don't understand everything.
A brilliant man?
Oh, he is brilliant. Yeah.
TJump?
Yeah, I met him. He's brilliant.
I mean, I have
lived in Minneapolis with me.
I'm trying to find that deductive argument that Jimbob laid out, and I can't find it. It was kind of quick. He laid out three premises and a conclusion about how the moral particle would be immoral itself. Did you catch that?
Did he do it on his channel, or did he write it?
Well, his channel. He had like this gray, this little gray screen, and he laid out a couple of the premises of what TJump was telling him. And this particular one was great, and I can't capture on the screen.
Just so brilliant. It was probably so brilliant that I didn't understand it. Yeah.
He simplified what he was saying.
Hello,
hello, guys. I like guitarist. This comment there. Jimbob's like Trey Jadlow with philosophy. That's quite apt.
Yeah. So what if the moral particle is a God particle? Then is it still immoral?
Yeah. What if it is, right? But as a physicalist, you want to be able to produce these things with some science behind it. He's guessing, so it's scientism, right? Like he's saying, well, science hasn't found it yet, but it's there.
I mean, to be fair, not once has the answer to unsolved mysteries turned out to be magic. Not once.
Emergent properties is a term that equates to magic that I hear a lot.
Does it though?
What's that?
Yeah, I don't really
What's your definition of magic?
Well, unexplained phenomenon that's used by physicalists would be one definition I use.
Oh, well, then you're begging the question. So
Yeah, do tell.
I just did.
Oh, let's see.
I'll explain it in different terms.
If you don't understand what begging the question fallacy is.
No, I mean, I know you're saying
you're
saying it's circular, but you just kind of hash it out what was circular.
Okay, well, literally, your explanation is the definition, right?
I'm saying magic is one of the ways I describe magic.
Yeah.
I was kind of being, punchy with it, saying physicalists claim that certain things have emergent properties, and they can't explain what that means, so it becomes magic in their explanation. There it is. Yeah, those. Can we? It's kind of blurry. Can you enlarge that? Good find, by the way. Thank you.
Actually.
The imposition of will is immoral.
Well,
the laws of nature are an imposition of will. The moral field is a law of nature. The moral field is immoral. That's great. That is what TJump said. He laid it out for him.
Good time.
Excellent.
Good time.
Thank you for putting that up.
Yeah,
see, you say Jimbob is a poor philosopher, but he's listening closely to what T-Dump is saying, isn't he? He's listening.
Yeah, and he's capable of doing he's capable of doing these silly little 7th grade arguments, like P1, P2, P3.
What are you talking about? Why is that a 7th grade argument? I mean, because it's T-Jump's argument, dude.
Okay,
do we know that T-Jump objects to the fact that laws of nature are immoral?
No, he said gravity is evil. He said that in the debate.
Okay, there we go then. So this is a nothing burger, as they say.
I sometimes feel like gravity is evil too. I just want to say this.
Yeah, I think as I understand T-Jump's moral system, I don't think he would disagree that nature can be immoral.
Yeah, right. He said it was. So the imposition of will is immoral. These are all accurate claims from T-Dump.
What does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? The imposition.
Well, I mean, he's saying when something pushes against your will, what you want to do, it's immoral. That's why he said that gravity is evil, because he wants to do things that are beyond gravity. So he calls it evil.
Okay.
And which goes into the laws of nature are an imposition of will. And then he points out the moral field is a law of nature. Conclusion. The moral field that T-Jump is professing is immoral itself. It negates itself. It's excellent.
Well, just equating the moral field with a law of nature, right?
Yeah, that's a problem because
it's not to say what morals is. So I mean that.
Well, I agree. His explanation is not
premise
full.
Premise three is just a nothing burger, like I'm saying.
It's not. It's part of T-Jump's claim.
I don't know if that's
saying
part
the
of
laws of nature are immoral. That's all he's saying. The moral field is completely redundant.
The moral field is the claim is the moral field is a law of nature. Now you call it a nothing burger. In a way, you're right, because he can't even prove that nature provides this moral field, but that is his claim. That is his premise.
That's his hypothesis. Yeah.
So he can't even substantiate that, but he claims it. So this is accurate. This is an accurate representation of what T-Dump is saying.
So it's part of his moral theory.
Yeah. What's that?
Part of his moral theory.
This would be his moral theory in a way that he would not want provided to him.
I don't know, because when you say the moral field is a law of nature, I don't know what that means. I don't know.
T-Dump doesn't know what it means either, but he claims that. It's part of his claim,
right.
Simon.
Yeah, I don't think you know what it means, because I don't know.
I don't know what it means.
I don't think
he made it up,
what
dude.
it means. What is the moral field?
He made it up.
I don't know. Yeah, T-Jump talks about this objective morality. I don't know if he calls it a moral field or not, but I certainly wouldn't. But
I've never heard him call it a moral field.
Would I say morality is a law of nature? I'd say it's basically a characteristic of human beings, mammals. So I don't know if you want to call that. I wouldn't call that a law of nature. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. And there's a distinct difference here, right? T-Jump has his own peculiar idea of morality. That's fine.
Yeah, he does.
And you can argue with him as much as you like. I've done so myself.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him, but that's besides the point. As to whether he's right or not is another question. Whether you think he's right or wrong, I'm sure he would agree that the laws of nature are an imposition of will. Therefore, they are immoral. And he's spoken about it at length. I don't think there's anything new that Jimbob has exposed here. Just to add the words moral field in here, don't add anything to this argument.
He's exposing that his theory itself negates itself.
But no, it doesn't negate
yes,
itself.
It does, Simos.
Because there's a difference
do you
between.
need to bring it up on the large screen again?
Because I don't think it does. Because
no, you don't.
There's a difference between something being immoral and the moral theory, which prescribes things as immoral. Those two things are not the same.
The moral field is a physical particle, and according to TJump, okay, it's a law of nature. So the field itself that he's saying decides is the arbiter of what's right and wrong is immoral itself.
No, he's not saying that. He's
yes,
saying
he is.
No, he's not. He's saying the imposition of will.
Okay.
Is the decider.
Now you're not understanding this for some reason.
And now you're not understanding it either.
TJump is not understanding his own theory. You guys have to give Jimbob credit where it's due. I appreciate you bringing this up, Mike. That's a fair move for you to put this on the screen. You don't have to agree with TJump. In fact, do you agree with TJump?
I don't agree with TJump.
Good.
No.
None of you do. None of you think that morality is objective and it's a particle, right?
But anyway, the imposition of will is immoral. And I'm not sure what they were talking about. But he says the laws of nature are an imposition of will. So where does TJump claim that all of the laws of nature? He said that gravity could be immoral, but where does he say that all the laws of nature?
Well, it's not a matter of all of them necessarily. He's pointing out.
It is because if you want to do this deduction, you need the all there. Basically.
No, you don't.
All the laws of nature.
He doesn't even have that part worked out, by the way. But you don't. You can point out the
moral field being immoral.
He's making this
moral field. The point is, he's making being immoral requires that all laws of nature are an imposition of will. Logic. Okay, look at.
So you're adding to a theory.
No,
that you don't believe in.
I'm not adding anything. I'm
for it to be proper, for this improper theory to be proper, it needs to have this, so you can wiggle out of what TJump has done here.
No, I'm.
This is what TJump has done.
Jimbob's argument is defective. Okay.
This is TJump's argument laid back to him, dude. This is not Jimbob's argument.
Oh, so you said laid back to him. Who laid it back to him?
Jimbob put it together for him. He said,
then it's by Jimbob, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think
you don't think so. Good.
No, I don't think it's TJump's argument.
You guys are just arguing for the sake of arguing. You're like, I like TJump more.
Well, not really. I think you're arguing for the sake of arguing.
So, no, I'm just saying that Jimbob's rendition here is defective, basically because it requires you to say that all laws of nature are an imposition of will, and I don't think TJump said that. So if TJump said that, then
moral field is a law of nature. The moral field, which he's claiming is the moral arbiter, is a law of nature. Now he doesn't have to go into every law of nature. He's just pointing out that it's one of them. Okay.
The moral arbiter.
Okay, P2 is an invalid premise.
Hang on a minute. Invalid. The moral arbiter in T-Jump's theory is not a moral field. It's the imposition of will.
Yeah. Right. It's not an actual arbiter. It's a claim that that's what it is immoral.
That's what makes something immoral. Yeah.
The action of the arbiter is immoral. Is unknown. The action is unknown.
I don't think you understand T-Jump's ideas and
present. Well, I don't because he made it up, dude. You don't agree with it either.
Doesn't matter whether I can. Just has nothing to do with whether I can understand it or not.
Yeah. You want to talk about form and not the content. Okay.
Jimbob and you come up with these, knockdown arguments all the time, and you don't see the flaws in them, and you have to look at the logic. Okay, when you're creating these premises, right? So
you're giving me. Listen, Mike. You're giving me a moral lesson right now.
And what you're overtalking me. You're overtalking me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Okay. When you say things like the imposition of will is immoral. Okay, that's a basically a what the fuck is it called? Oh my God, I forgot the name. Anyway, you're making a statement, right? And they say the laws of nature are an imposition of will. Now, inside of that premise number 2, the claim is that all laws of nature are an imposition of will. And I want to know where TJump said that. That's all I want to know.
No, I think
because if TJump didn't say that, then this whole fucking thing is for naught.
Well, did he say a law of nature or the law of nature?
He said he was talking about gravity.
He specified gravity, so
right?
He's either singling out gravity.
Okay, he said one law is an imposition of will, JG. He did not say all laws are an imposition of will. Jimbob said that. So you're putting something in his mouth that didn't come out of his mouth.
Well,
so anyway, that's why this is meaningless.
If there's any laws we don't like, then they are automatically an imposition of will, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what the hell TJump's talking about, but anyway, what else you got, JG? What do you bring to the table?
What's that?
What do you bring to the table?
Oh, I like to ask about people's presuppositions. I know you mentioned I was a pre-supper, and I like to hear people's presuppositions. Everyone knows, that pre-suppers presuppose God, but it's interesting when you start to get atheists, unbelievers to talk about theirs because you get variations.
I presuppose the natural world because I'm a naturalist, right? You get variations because not all atheists are naturalists.
Right.
Atheist only means that we don't believe in your God, your particular idea of God. So I'm an atheist right now because you're here. I'm reflecting on your beliefs, right? I do not agree with you.
You can't be
I'm not an atheist.
Right.
I'm not an atheist when you're not around. I'm just a naturalist, and I'm a physicalist.
Yeah. Well,
so I presuppose naturalism. So what's wrong with that?
Well, you can't. I mean, you can say you presuppose naturalism, but then you make claims with meaning, value, and purpose, and they're just subjective, right?
No, meaning, value, and purpose flow out of naturalism. You can logically derive them out of the natural universe.
So
when you look at the nature of what we are, okay, meaning, value, and purpose are built into us. We are squiggly little things that move toward pleasure and away from pain. Okay, that's where it all starts. And basically that gives us purpose. Our purpose is that we wiggle. So we're wiggling around and we're talking and we're doing stuff. And all we are is, meaning is within us. Purpose is within us.
It sounds like begging the question.
Not begging the question. You want to explain?
You're saying it's there. It's there and we wiggle. I don't know how you derive meaning, value, and purpose out of what you just said. I'm hearing you tell me something and give me a description of something, but it just sounds like a subjective idea that you've come up with.
Well, it's an idea I've come up with. I've worked on it pretty.
But it's not objective.
I start out with single-celled organisms. Okay, we know that they'll move up and down gradients, right? So you have valence, you have positive and negative. They're going to move toward or away from certain things. And you extend that to multicellular life and all of life, and you end up with these primates, right? Where this complicated fucking brain, where we have all kinds of things that we do with our brain, and meaning and purpose is one of them. And this is something that humans do. This is within humanity.
Yeah, but you just kind of threw it in there, dude. You just kind of
threw it in.
Sudden.
What do you mean chunked it in? I can tell you.
You're telling me about organisms and primates, and it said meaning and purpose are there. What?
So, do you know what meaning is and purpose? Okay.
I have an idea, Mike. What I'm asking you is how you're implementing him from a naturalist view. Ultimately, I'm going for epistemic justification, as I've told you before. Telling me a story about how you think they're there and how you think you're an organism. All this storytelling is fine, but you're not really giving me epistemic justification of meaning, value, and purpose.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, really.
So do you have anybody in your life that you care about? Do you have anybody? Do you have a family, or do you live on a rock all by yourself? Do you care about anybody?
Is it going to change your answer?
You can say yes. I mean, it's
I know. I can just say yes. Right.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Do you care about anybody?
Yeah.
Do they have meaning to you?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have a brain? Are you a biological animal? Are you human?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what humans do. Okay.
I didn't know. I mean, that's easy enough.
This is what humans do.
Okay. Well, then I guess we've closed it.
So when I think about the theists' idea of meaning, they seem to get it from a story. There's a story they like.
Yeah.
They find it inspiring. And then from there they say, well, I like it, so it must be the true.
Yeah, and if we tell a story, they don't like it. It's like they'll tell us their goddamn Bible story.
The problem would be that if we do have an argument for epistemic justification, just without getting into that, if we did, we would say, well, if you're going to challenge what you're saying is our story, are you going to be able to do more than I don't like it?
Well, yeah, we can all, we could do more. We can talk about
we can do more than
we can talk about
more.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I've heard James Apperson. I've heard that basically every time I've heard you give reasons about God, you just talk about how you don't like him, how he's a meanie. That's all I've heard from you.
From me?
Really?
Yeah, in the past, you complain about how he's a meanie.
Have you been?
Well, that's
have you been
story?
Have you been hate watching my streams?
No, it was a while ago.
So you haven't heard everything he said, then, no?
You're more popular than you thought, James. See, I keep telling you.
Done, James.
Like you're the worst atheist pirate ever. But you
he doesn't watch my stuff, James.
But you have.
But you have heard of me.
Okay. What?
Well, remember we talked a couple times, like a year and a half ago, maybe just a few times. But you just I was trying to drive it. Certain ideas with you, and you just kept saying God was mean and you didn't like him, so therefore he couldn't be.
I don't seem to recall saying that, but that's
what
you got from it, sure.
Well, God of the Old Testament's definitely got some mean spirits in him,
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a human experience, and when I look at my human experience and I weigh that against what's commonly thought of in my culture and the literature that I've read and the discussions that I've overheard, including discussions that have happened with theists of all kinds, and then I compare all these different ideas, we don't seem to have a big disagreement on the fact that if there's something we don't like, then we don't like it. If there's something that I can't understand, then I just can't understand it. If there's something that doesn't seem true to me, then it just doesn't seem true to me. If there's something that I think has good positive utility in the world, then I think it has good positive utility in the world. There's all kinds of different directions we can go with the discussion, but it's a complex issue. But for me, the issue of whether or not Christianity is true has been settled, right? And it didn't get settled because I think God's a meanie. It got settled because I weighed the evidence in the same way that I would weigh the evidence for every single other domain of discussion where evidence and logic are relevant.
Well, you think that discovering an immaterial creator is the same as filtering and discovering natural evidence?
I don't know.
Hold on. Aren't you looking through this through a natural? Aren't you assuming and presupposing a natural explanation?
Yes, we do presuppose naturalism.
Right.
Hold on.
That's why presuppositionalism is important, because we realize that we're talking to people who presuppose the world through a natural lens. And one place I would move to immediately is metaphysics. You're assuming the metaphysical in the realm of physicalism, and I want to know how you can account for that or how you can justify that. You just say,
what do you think metaphysics is?
It's above and beyond the physics. It tends to explain the physical world.
Have you heard of ontology?
It's the same thing.
Ontology?
Yes.
What is ontology
It's
about?
synonymous with metaphysics, the nature of being.
What is ontology?
I just told you.
No, it's not synonymous with metaphysics. It's a part of metaphysics. Okay, we're talking about what being is, right? What a thing is. Okay, a thing which is natural, right? So metaphysics is not about
no, it's not necessarily natural.
Metaphysics is our
where we differ.
understanding.
It's not necessarily natural, Mike.
Okay. So tell me, how do you epistemically ground meaning with your worldview? Tell me how you epistemically ground meaning.
Knowledge coming from God would be epistemic.
Knowledge coming from. How do you justify that? What do you mean by knowledge coming from God? What do you mean by knowledge?
Revelation from God.
What is revelation?
What is revelation? Through
same as knowledge. So
it's not. I mean,
okay,
it's not. The knowledge
just
comes
telling
through
me
revelation. The theory is
that's
that okay, Mike, go ahead.
Good story, dude. Good story. Okay, so
Right,
knowledge and revelation are equivalent. And
No.
okay, what is revelation? Tell me how it comes from God. How does revelation?
The mind of God, the precondition necessary for knowledge
precondition.
is God. We receive
not
knowledge
how.
from God.
Okay, that's an assertion.
Yeah,
not
because
how
part of the
either.
story.
It's not how it comes.
Tell me how it comes from
Simos,
God.
Simos knows how. Go ahead, Simos.
Well, you didn't answer how. I was just pointing out.
Yeah, no. How does revelation come
You
from God?
you pointed out what it comes from.
It's
not how it
ultimately
comes from.
It's ultimately divine revelation.
I don't care if it's divine. Tell me how it comes from God.
Through script, one. I mean, I can't even talk, you guys.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, go ahead, talk. Tell me how it comes from God.
One way is personal revelation. There's special revelation. There's scriptural revelation. It's through spiritual revelation as well. These are things that are beyond the physical and natural world. The natural man denies things of the spiritual world.
Okay, you're still telling me a story. You're not telling me how it happened.
Right. So if you're going to equate it,
this
is what I said earlier. If you're going to equate it to just a story, you're going to need to come up with epistemic justification to negate that. And all you're going to be able to do is say, I don't like that. I don't agree.
You mean you can make up any story you want and I have to negate it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, then tell me how your story works. I mean, you're claiming that your story is true. Tell me how personal revelation comes from God. What does that mean? Give me an example.
I mean, I just told you that it comes through the scriptures. It's ultimately divine revelation. There's
okay, it comes through the scriptures. Yeah. Okay, is the Bible a physical object?
Yeah, you would consider that. You can consider that empirical, correct?
Okay, so you got it from like some empirical thing, right? You got this revelation, personal revelation.
There's words on a page, but it's
words on a page. Okay,
we're saying that it's more than this. It's revelation, inspired word of God.
Well, why don't you use Stephen King instead and use his words on the page?
You can try that, and you can try to make an argument, and then when you start to try to go into transcendentals, those are going to be called into question. How Stephen King is the precondition necessary for universals like morality and logic and so forth.
Tell me how God is. Tell me how God is. How is God the precondition for logic?
How is he the precondition for logic?
Yeah, how? Tell me how that. How does God entail logic?
God is the starting point of all reality.
That's an assertion. That's another part of your story. Now, tell me how that works. How does God entail logic?
I did tell you how it works. You just reject it.
Okay, so
you're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness.
Back up a little bit.
I think that that's
count for like if you're going to listen. All I have to do is this. Let me make it simple for you. If you're going to disagree with me on any level about God being the necessary precondition for universals like logic and morality, if you say no, I don't agree with you, I'm simply going to ask you why you disagree with me and how you can epistemically justify your disagreement to prove that I'm wrong or to point out that I'm wrong. And I don't think you can do it because no one has. But you can try.
Well, that's not the question that was asked of you. The question
was,
I'm
not necessarily interested in each individual question he's asking me, Simos. You got to remember that as well.
Okay, if you can't answer the question, that's fine.
I'm not saying I can't answer the question. I'm not necessarily interested in each individual question he has. I navigate this.
I haven't finished talking, by the way.
Simos, I navigate this the way that I want to navigate it. You're not an authority about how I navigate reality. Are you an authority?
If you can't,
Simos?
If you can't answer
are you an authority on how I'm to navigate reality?
If you can't answer the question of how it happens, then it's just a story.
Okay, can I speak now?
Yeah, you can. I keep trying to unmute you, and you keep.
Well, I don't know. I'll try not to overtalk, but I wanted to point out that Simos is injecting himself as like an authority on how things are supposed to play out and what I'm supposed to answer. And I'm questioning him now on how he's in that position to make that claim.
Okay, but let's back up a little bit. How are you in
that position?
So he's just pitching it back to me. Oh, how are you? No, but what about you? No, but what about you?
JG, let's back up a little bit.
I can make fallacies all day long, dude.
So Simos can make fallacies because other people can make fallacies. That's his worldview. That's part of his worldview.
You don't want to answer questions.
He's allowed to make fallacies He's allowed to make fallacies based on his interlocutor.
Okay, both of you shut the fuck up for a minute, okay? Now, going back to when I said that basically meaning is built...
Wait. I feel left out. Can you tell me to shut the fuck up?
No, I'm telling JG and Simon to shut the fuck up for a minute. Anyway, so JG, going back to when I said that human biology basically is the source of meaning, and you disagreed with me, so you're going to have to tell me how you disagree and what you base that on.
Okay, yeah, biology.
How do you disagree with me?
Well, when you have biology, you have what do you have? A set of information, some empirical data, right?
No.
Okay, well, give me an example. I try to work it out.
Biology is like human beings are biological animals. We have this complicated nervous system. We move toward good things and away from bad things. We have like you could call that a moral.
Hold on, I got to stop you right there.
Is built in. Meaning is built in.
Let me stop you right there. But good, I'm sorry. Okay. Moving away from good and bad things, right? Mm-hmm. That's an interesting claim. You're saying pain and pleasure, or more than that?
Yeah, a little more deeper than that. Yeah.
Okay, so
how do you
establish
can project?
Okay. So how do you establish from biology alone, without philosophy being presupposed, what good and bad are?
What good and bad are? Good is things we move toward. Bad is things we move away from. Good is something that we endeavor to do.
Right?
Yeah. Well, because they're different organisms.
So you're saying good and bad are subjective preferences based on the organism?
No, I don't like the word subjective, and I don't like the subjective-objective dichotomy, so don't use that one. So
I imagine you wouldn't like that because it's going to be a huge problem for your worldview.
It's not a problem. It's stupid. Okay, the objective.
It's stupid. Well, I'm glad we settled that. That's a good resolution.
Stupid. Okay, so leave that out of the discussion.
No,
okay, human beings.
Leave it out of the discussion.
Human beings are organisms.
Funny man, you.
Human beings are organisms that have this valence where we move toward and away from, good and bad things. For us, we could very generally describe it that way. That is the nature of being human. That's a behavior. It's an animal behavior. If you want to put a bunch of humans in a cage and test them, you can do that. And you'll find that they do this stuff, right? And it's all physical and it's all inside the humans. So anyway, why else do you disagree that humans make their own meaning? And,
I don't
and you still haven't told me how God entails meaning.
Oh, so many questions. Come on.
Yeah. This is a philosophy discussion. So.
Oh yeah, there are always philosophy discussions. That's right. Yeah. They always are.
Even
when you're talking about science presupposes philosophy.
Narf.
So it's like
philosophy,
I guess you're asking
presupposes science.
Philosophy presupposes
science because every philosopher picks up a physical object, and reads it, and that's how he becomes a philosopher. So philosophy presupposes the natural world.
That's nonsense. I mean, I see what you're saying, but you got it backwards. But I can't even answer your question.
What I'm saying, then
you jumping around, dude. Why are you jumping
around?
Which
one you want to answer?
You're saying biology is a human organism that moves toward the good and away from the bad. You've given me like an example of human experience, broadly speaking. So I try to stop you right away. Yes, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, I feel like I keep hearing stuff when I'm talking. I can't.
Oh, sorry. It might be me. I'll mute myself.
You could be hearing me gasp. You're hearing me gasp.
Okay. Oh, you're gasping? Or you got to mute then, I guess. I didn't know you were a gasper.
These conversations never really come to a conclusion where we talk about how any of this has anything to do with motor boating boobies. Like, you just never reach the
end. Motor boating. Oh my God, never heard of
it. We are human after all.
So, hurry up and get forward. I want to get to the end where we get to that part where it's all relevant.
So basically, in conclusion, the motorboating effect comes from a deep-rooted, innate feature that we just want to motorboat anything we can that's nice and round.
Comes from God.
Get our face in, right? And I think that basically concludes everything that we've been wondering ever.
Yes. Finally, we arrived at this common ground.
Brilliant.
How does God entail meaning in human beings? How does that happen?
Well, Mike, we were kind of trying to do.
Don't tell me a story. Tell me how it works.
This is really jumping around. I wanted to talk about your biology and good and bad, and you're preventing me from asking you about subjectivity.
Can God make boobies so big that he can't motorboat them?
Oh, nice. The original question of the boulder so heavy, right, that he can't move it.
Mm-hmm. Now we're up to 2 boulders.
Partial
philosophy. It's philosophy, JG. You wouldn't understand it.
No, it's an interesting question. It gets into partial limitation of power.
Okay, meaning is an emergent property of the biology of human beings. Okay, that's the claim. So why do you have a problem with that? Why do you think humans don't have meaning in their life?
Well, I'm saying the meaning would be a philosophy that's imposed. So we'd want to get to the understanding of how that philosophy becomes, because each individual organism would have a different philosophy about what meaning is, correct?
Okay. Each organism, yes, is going to have basically each organism is different. So humans are different. There are some people that think it's moral to abort a baby and some that don't, right? Okay, so we have that difference, right? But we also have
and
some
I want to say that it's important to point out that you're coming from a standpoint where the moral component of all of these worldviews, of all these individual organisms, is subjective.
It has to be. Basically, the organism is the thing that's going to be doing. It's the agent that's going to be doing the moving, right? So any moral act is a movement. You're going to be doing something if you do a moral act. Okay, so you have to have an organism to do that, right?
Right.
So everything that the organism needs is inside that organism to do that moving, and we all grow up in this environment and we become moral animals together.
Everything an organism needs is within the organism. So that's an interesting claim, like how you would actually hash out that you have that knowledge.
Well, everything in an organism, basically, let me tell you about the mitochondria. Basically, where all the source of energy comes from, and how your muscles move, and you're the agent that's
so many universal claims being made here.
Universal. This is simple biology. Okay?
Everything,
every organism has the ability to move, right? Or most organisms have the ability to act or to move. Okay, a moral act is an organism moving. Everything the organism needs is within that organism to make that movement, right?
So raising your hand is a moral action, you're saying?
I didn't say that. I said moral actions. I said moral actions are movements. I didn't say all movements are moral actions.
Okay, well, hash that out a little bit. Tell me, like, the difference between just a movement that isn't moral versus a movement that is moral.
Okay, so morality is it's a general concept that we have about us doing things that are going to affect other people, right? So if I do something, like if you're next to me and I pick up a stick and hit you over the head with it, right? That would be an act, okay?
Yeah.
And we would say, you would say, oh, that hurts, or why did you do that? And I don't have any reason for doing it. I just did it because you're JG, because I like to hit you. And so I did an immoral act, right? And we can agree on that.
What if we don't agree? What if we don't agree? You say it's warranted.
Well, if we don't agree, then you're going to need some Tylenol. If we don't agree on that, right?
Well, I might need Tylenol whether I agree with you or not.
You might need morphine. I got a pretty big stick.
No. We're getting to sort of the nature of moral claims. If you hit me with a stick, you say I'm justified, and I say you're not. And I say I don't like that. I say it's immoral. You say no, it's not. It's moral. We just have two people arguing subjectively. We're not really going to get to any conclusion, right?
Probably not. If you're on one side and I'm on the other side, yeah.
So
if you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat.
Right. Like all your arguments are going to fall in this same type of network if you're coming from a subjective moral position. So even the thrust of your arguments are thrusted by a subjective moral. Everything that you think is correct in your worldview, or that you're bringing forward, and you're saying I ought to listen to you or consider you in these discussions, it's all subjective. So I can challenge you at a meta-ethical level and say, why ought I even listen to you?
Okay, so let's widen this, to not just the two of us, but let's look at all humans everywhere, right?
So we're moving into average, like a consensus or an ad populum, perhaps?
Yeah. Well, what do you think morality is? It's ad populum.
So we're
Basically,
moving into a logical
so-
fallacy to decide this?
Logical fallacy?
Well,
No.
ad populum is typically a term for
Okay, if the herd of buffalo,
population.
if the herd of buffalo is all going one way, right? Then what can we say about that? We can say that the herd of buffalo likes to go that way. That the herd of buffalo is the nature of the buffalo to go this way. So if you look at all of humanity, you'll find that the nature of all of humanity is that we don't kill each other. We try to care for each other. We have
I don't know
all
about
kinds
that.
of attachments.
I see different history.
It is not true in every single specific instance, but in general, we could say we know what morality is. It's how we got the fucking word. Okay, we labeled this tendency for this herd of buffalo to move in a certain direction where we all care for each other.
Yeah, right.
Every one of
see
us agree on
things
that.
and sure, we see patterns and say that something is moral. Now we're not getting to the essence, though, of the thing itself
That is the
we're talking
essence.
about. Right?
That
We're just
is
saying
the essence.
we've noticed something, and some people like this, and more people like that, and we're going to call it moral. We're not getting to the essence of the thing itself. And if we're going to call that subjective, then it's always just going to be a preference-based issue.
KG, there is no essence. Okay. It
Well, I
is the
disagree.
herd
I
moving.
have a worldview that has essences and universals.
Right. And we disagree.
By the way, you
You
make a
have
lot of
your
universal
agreement, and I have
claims that are unsubstantiated, that are just getting by in the conversation, which I would normally stop you and ask you about, but I'm just letting them
I'm
fly.
substantiating
so-
everything as fast as we can.
Really quick.
Go ahead, James.
Have a great day, Carpenter. He's leaving. Real quick. I love you guys, and by I love you, I mean that I don't wish you any particular harm. But I'm going to go ahead and go because every time you guys end up blocking horns, that's it. That's the whole show. So,
James,
I'll back off. I actually have to. You don't have to leave because I was.
I'd rather you lock horns with him for a while, James.
No, I shouldn't even. I shouldn't have even come in because I have prior obligations. So you can stay, and I'll talk for a few more minutes if you want to. But
oh shit, was the rapture today?
You and James talk. Yeah. I'm done with you, JG. You're
done.
not
Well,
making any
why don't you
sense.
come over to the channel? I think some people wanted to see you come over to the channel again. Maybe if you wanted to.
Who?
Yeah, well, I find your channel that what's his name, Eric, the evolution destroyer always pops in.
Well,
and,
we can.
I'm not comfortable with, and I'm not comfortable with that other guy either.
Which guy?
What the hell's his name? Oh, he came in. He came in with Eric last time I was there.
Do you mean Lionheart Eric guy?
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember who else was there.
Oh my God, JC's hanging around with Eric Lionheart now.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah, I like Eric.
Okay.
Well, Simos, if you want to, what's that?
Okay. What do you say?
I mean, I noticed you had a lot to say about Eric in the past. You can talk to him if you think you're smarter or whatever you think you are, and I'll moderate. Mike, like you would agree that when we agreed on a moderated discussion with time limits, that it was more fair. Last time we didn't do that, but when we did in the past, you did have time to speak clearly in the past, right?
We've only had one discussion, JG, and that was a very good discussion, which ended in mutual agreement to leave the topic. And then you came back in and said, "You see, he talks about me when I'm not here." Well,
you and I?
We literally just had a discussion, and I was talking about the discussion. So yeah, sorry, that's how that works.
Oh, you're talking about? I thought you were talking about Eric. You're saying last time you and I talked.
Last time I talked to Eric, I can't remember when the last time I spoke to Eric. It just goes nowhere with him. He's very much like Nephilim 3, you know.
I know he is. So James, do you want to have a crack at JG here and have a little talk with him? So
yeah, you're welcome. Feel welcome.
I don't have much time, but we can. But I'm saying, like, if you guys want to have a crack at other people, I like to moderate more than argue. And when you come to my channel, I give you I'll prop you up and say, look, we have a guest here. We have an atheist because we mostly have believers. So we're going to be respectful. We're going to give time limits, 2 minutes speaking each, no interruptions. I can do that for you. And I welcome it. So just wanted to say that.
I've always had pleasant conversations with you, JG. So I don't mind talking to you, but there are a few others on your channel.
Thank you. I'm saying I can make it so that if you do want to talk to somebody that you feel is an over talky type of person, I can make that happen as a moderator because we make rules when we have guests who want to do that. So I'm just letting you know.
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
I stopped debating years ago. Over to you, James.
Well, I mean, if JG only has 30 seconds left, I think I've got a half a decent shot of coming out on top of that debate.
Good.
I doubt it. It's JG. He's still going to interrupt you.
No, I won't interrupt. I'll try not to.
I know. I mean, my thing is I prefer conversations. I don't care about Team Atheist. I don't care about scoring points for atheism. I don't care about vindicating atheism. I don't care about, anything other than good health and function for human individuals, social systems, and societies. Beyond that, I just don't care. So,
okay. So in the meantime, I'm going to turn on and just say, make sure you know this in the future, when probably after you've left, I'm going to explain to Mike why what you said about an ad populum fallacy is wrong. Okay, just so you know that.
Ad populum fallacy?
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, you called what Mike said it was an ad populum fallacy, and it wasn't.
Oh, moving
we have
into
breakfast tacos.
I hear this.
Well, just
that guy's, I don't know if I can do breakfast tacos.
Really quick, Simos, I am pre-prepared to disagree
You're muted,
with
Taco.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I hear this unrighteous individual that's philosophically uneducated talking to you guys like he knows what he's talking about. I'd love to invite him on my platform for a formal debate.
Shots
fired. No, I'm not going to do a formal debate. I mean, I'll come talk to you.
Exactly my point. You presuppositionalist Christians are so uneducated that you can't take on an opponent in 1v1 combat.
Rawr.
You sound a little bit... wow, I don't know. I don't even know what the word to describe it is.
Of course I'm upset. Of course I'm upset. That's the word you want. I'm upset because you're rejecting the truth in your unrighteousness when you know no gods exist. You, sir, have seen the trees, sir.
He tries to borrow from
gods exist.
He tries to borrow from the scripture. He plays the game of like, oh, I can presuppose naturalism and borrow from the scriptures and flip the script on you. I mean, I'm familiar with that. You can't make it work.
Oh yeah, you can. I've heard him make it work.
I've heard him. It doesn't work.
And it's just as fallacious as when you do it, by the way.
Now, I have to be much more neutral these days because I'm building a debate platform. I'm not just annihilating unrighteous individuals.
Are you taking drugs or some kind of substances
that are making talking you like this? I'm talking, sir. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm talking, sir.
Breakfast tacos is talking.
Hey, sir, I'm talking, sir. Hey, sir, I'm talking, sir. You're over-talking me, sir. So, like I was saying, I'm building a debate platform these days, so I have to be much more considerate of unrighteous individuals like yourself and not just deconvert all of you so that we can actually have some good debates. But what I'm saying is that if you have any balls, I'd love to invite you on my platform for a formal debate with somebody who will deconvert you.
Thank you, Breakfast Tacos, for that. I heard what you had to say, and I will consider it. You sound like a very genuine fella, and I like the way you emphasize your P's.
What the fuck? Breakfast Tacos, I just fucking love you, man. Anyway, Kentucky Atheist is live. We should all head over to Kentucky Atheist and check out what he's got. James, did you ever? You never got a chance, James. I'm sorry.
Didn't get a chance. No.
Oh, it's fine.
James?
You saved me from saying any number of really dumb things, and I appreciate it.
Oh well, to finish up with then, ad populum fallacy is when you give no reason and you appeal to the majority. Mike gave a reason, therefore it can't be an ad populum fallacy.
Well, when we're deciding, like he was trying to go into the reason for deciding a moral decision, though, right?
Yeah.
So if he appeals to the masses to make a moral decision, that could be construed as an ad populum.
You didn't get it.
No. You got it all. You got it all wrong. Okay, the herd of buffalo is moving all in one direction, right? The herd of buffalo is not appealing to the fact that the buffalo are moving in one direction. The herd of buffalo is actually doing this. It is built into the herd of buffalo to move in that direction.
I'm assuming when we're talking about morals, we're talking about human beings, though. right?
I can't.
I have an easy question to demonstrate this guy's philosophical ineptitude. So, Jay,
hold on, Breakfast Tacos. Let us
I
just finish
say
this point
that.
here.
Hey, Breakfast Tacos, just hold on a second,
So
okay,
if I
buddy?
say that the majority of philosophers hold to objective morality and are atheists, is that appeal to authority or appeal to population, ad populum?
Hey, Mike, when you were making your example about the buffalo, I was asking if you could make a human example. Are you making like an example for like a biological mechanism or an actual moral agency of human beings?
Okay, I'm explaining how humans are moral, right? And how we're all moving in one direction, kind of like the herd of buffalo. And overall, humanity moves in this one direction. But anyway, I defer to Breakfast Tacos. He had a good point.
Yeah, so
don't defer
this
to Breakfast.
unrighteous individual
No. Come on, JG.
fallacies that he doesn't understand and is wielding them as a cudgel. So
I know.
JG,
Yeah.
You philosophically inept dingleberry. I have a very simple question for you. If I was to say that the majority of philosophers and scientists hold to, say, naturalism or are atheists or are objective moralists, is that an appeal to population or an appeal to the experts, or what would you consider that? Would you consider that a fair claim?
Is that a logical fallacy?
Yeah, a little bit hard to listen to. Let me see if I can hash that out. You're asking if you're making a point that most people adhere to something or certain people adhere to certain things. Is that an ad populum claim pointing out that there's a consistency?
Yeah, most of the experts.
Oh, I challenge the expert.
Objectivism and atheism. Yeah. Is that a fallacy?
Well, I would want to challenge what you're calling an expert before I even get to that answer.
This is based off of the Phil Papers data. So we're going off the Phil Papers, the actual qualified experts in the field. So is this a fallacy? Yes or no?
I wouldn't answer you. I would question the expert.
Sir, I asked you
no, you got to answer that question, JG.
Only yes or no answers.
Oh,
yes or
well,
no?
I guess you're going to be in trouble then, aren't you?
I think it's not a fallacy because you're not using it for anything. You're stating a statistic.
You're making like a general observation that most people do the thing, you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah. So when we go into the realm or the domain or the pillar of ethics, when we point out most people are doing this, that doesn't give us the answer as to what is the case of what right and wrong are. It's just that's what people are doing.
It's pretty easy to figure out why the herd of biological organisms is doing what it's doing if you look into the biology of the organism, but you got to look pretty deeply to find it. So it's not a simple thing.
Well,
it's not a simple thing.
Everybody in the audience saw he couldn't engage. This guy ran. He ran away with his little boots and his little tail between his legs.
How'd you know I had boots on?
Yeah, we know.
Hey, Breakfast Tacos, have you been running and jogging?
Yes, you believe in magic, probably.
Do you get out and jog, Breakfast Tacos?
No, I'm 700 pounds.
You're not really 700 pounds. I mean, you're not really like that guy in the picture, are you?
James, you tried to say a
thing. The guy in the picture was me when I was 389 pounds.
Oh,
why do you eat so many tacos, dude? I mean, enough is enough, dude.
They're so good, man. Now, everybody saw, I am unable to run because of my weight. But this gentleman here, this unrighteous individual, has ran away full speed with his tail between his legs.
Well, to be fair, he does have prior commitments and he does have to go.
I know I am late for something, but I mean, I would welcome more peaceful conversations. Breakfast Tacos. I mean, I will perhaps go after you in your absurdity, but your presentation is too loud and
I like it.
Well, of course you do, because it works in your favor just to shut people down from like having a decent discussion. But like Simos, Mike,
no, that's
James,
not why I like
you guys can like have a decent sort of interaction instead of this. You know what I mean?
He was so philosophically inept, he could not directly answer my question.
Yeah,
I questioned the material.
Okay,
of
JG,
wouldn't allow
JG,
it, so
where do you think he got this style from? He borrowed it from Christians. Okay,
What are you talking about? Borrow from my worldview.
It's warranted.
They've seen me running atheist presuppositional apologetics and deconverting 37% of the Christians that I meet with. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is such a powerful tool. I have to borrow from his worldview. That's what they're doing. These unrighteous individuals are stealing from the worldview of atheist presuppositional apologetics because they simply want a tool that allows them to reject the truth in their unrighteousness so they can pretend to continue to be an imaginary character in a cosmic battle of good and evil.
This guy's
there you go. Well laid out.
So, like,
pretty well put.
You talk about, well, hold on. When you talk about unrighteousness, can you hash out how you come to the conclusion of what is right and what is wrong?
I'm sorry, I don't talk about morality with people who operate from arbitrary morality.
So your morality is not arbitrary.
From subjective morality.
So Breakfast Tacos has an objective moral.
Jay, please don't talk about me when you're talking about moral claims as you have inferior morality and you have no right to talk about morality with myself or any of us.
Yeah, okay. Well, so if you have an objective ethical system, what is the justification behind it? Can you hash that out a little bit? Instead of just telling us.
Justification? Why not just have a system?
An objective, like TJump tries the objective system with the particle. I'm saying if Breakfast Tacos,
I don't care what TJump does. Why do I need to justify my morality?
No, not. I'm saying Breakfast Tacos seems to have an ethical system that he's confident in saying people are unrighteous. And what is
it's based on naturalism. He presupposes the natural world and naturalism.
Right. Like so the natural world gives us information about what's unrighteous. How? Go ahead.
Because we have it. It's what we are.
The angry robot voice guy.
I got news for you, dude. You are 27 trillion cells sitting in a pile of skin. Okay, you are a natural organism. You are.
I'm not disputing that I'm an organism. I'm saying when you're talking about righteousness and unrighteousness, how do you get that from a naturalistic perspective? That's all I'm asking.
How do you dream of Genie, JG? How do you dream of Genie?
So who's running now?
I'm just asking a question.
I wasn't even asking you, Simos. I'm asking the angry robot taco guy.
I know. But what's the answer?
Well, you're protecting him now. You're going to let him come in all loud like that, and
I don't care about that.
You just stay calm. You just stay calm with a person like that, and say,
I'm
"Okay."
Sorry, I had to waddle away for a minute.
I said to you, his arguments are as fallacious as yours, so I'm not interested.
Oh, equal fallacious.
How dare you call my argument fallacious?
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy I am. Sorry about that, Taco.
You can literally look at the trees and know no gods exist.
I know.
I can.
Cool story, bro.
Shit.
All right, I do have to go, but there's nothing on the unrighteousness.
Yeah. Thanks,
So,
JG. It's been a pleasure
JG,
as always. I do like. I get a laugh every time. I know you don't like me much, but I do get a laugh.
You get a laugh.
Yeah, I enjoy myself when you're around.
JG, go away and think about how God logically entails meaning and morality and goodness and logically entails. Okay, go away and figure that out, and do come back. Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Okay. Oh, we gotta go, guys. We gotta go.
Right, just to clear that up now, he's gone, Mike. The argument from ad populum is basically saying is an appeal to the majority position, right, without giving any reason. If you give a reason as to why those people in that majority hold that position, it's no longer a fallacy. It's no longer that fallacy. No, you just give evidence. Nothing to do with experts. That's another fallacy altogether. Similar, but not the same.
Basically, there are experts who are educated in certain things, and I defer to them. When I have cancer, I go to a doctor. Okay, and if I'm going to argue with the experts, I have to have a pretty goddamn good reason to argue with them.
Yeah, that's a slightly different fallacy. You can appeal to just the general population.
Say,
well, the majority of people believe X, right, and it's because of Y. And it's Y is what you're saying is the reason that the majority of people believe X. And that's fine because you're appealing to Y, not to X.
Yeah.
Right? Simons, so if you say that the majority of the experts hold a position like what we see in the sciences, right? If there's a consensus amongst the scientists on a scientific theory that this is a scientific theory and it seems to be true, and you hold that belief because of that, that's not appealing to, that's not an ad populum. That's not, I guess it's an appeal to experts, but it's not a fallacious appeal to experts. It's not giving a reason besides saying, I'm appealing to the experts in the field.
Sure, the fallacy, hang on a minute. The fallacy you're talking about is the appeal to authority, which is different from an ad populum of fallacy. And the appeal to authority, hang on. The appeal to authority is not a fallacious if it's an appeal to experts. The reason it's not is because those experts have evidence that informs their position. And it's the evidence behind the experts that means it's not an appeal to, it's not a fallacy. And the same with ad populum. If you give a reason as to why that position is correct, and then you say, and most people believe it, right? You're appealing to the reason you gave, not the fact that the number of people believe it. That's it. That's why those two things are not fallacies. It's because there's evidence behind the appeal. Go ahead, Breakfast.
I mean, I was just trying to demonstrate his lack of any philosophical acumen, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. But he said an appeal to an ad populum fallacy. You then came in with an. Then you came in with an.
I was just throwing out whatever to see what he said, right? And he didn't. He refused to respond because he didn't know how to respond. But somebody said that we can see the morality or whatever to everybody. I think something like that. And he said ad populum, right? And he's like, you're an idiot. That's not a fallacy. You like what?
Well, the way Mike said it was not a fallacy. It could have been a fallacy, but because he said X, then X is the reason it's not an ad populum fallacy.
So he asked for a justification, basically, of morality, and I started to explain the whole biological thing to him. And he said, "Oh, that's just a story." And so then I started asking him questions about where he got his morality, and he said it was God, and God handed it down through personal revelation. And then I said, "Oh, that's just a story too." And then I forget where we went. Then how do you epistemically justify it? Yeah. How do you epistemically justify this? And it's like, do I have to epistemically justify things? We're all here. We're all reasoning beings. We're here right now. We all have logic, reason, and a physical universe to be in. Why in the fuck do I have to justify anything? I mean, we're all presupposing all that. So here we are. I do not have to find foundations and justify every goddamn time I open my mouth. And they like to do that. They like to run you to an outer level all the time and keep running to an outer level, and then they'll jump back down into the middle. And it's like category errors all around. Constant category errors.
To start, like he said, you're just appealing to this is how most people are, which is an ad populum. Well, that's not what you were doing. You were appealing to how most people
I was saying that this is the way most people...
Hang on a minute.
Okay.
You were appealing to the way most people act, but you also then went on to say because of XYZ biological condition. Now, XYZ biological condition is a reason why most people believe or do the same thing, right? And that stops it being ad populum. That's the first point. The second point is he then went on to say, but you're just saying that that's subjective. Well, yeah, okay, so prove objective morality first, then we'll have a discussion about whether an appeal to subjective morality is a problem, right? Because as far as I'm aware, there isn't a lot of objective morality hanging around in God's word, because God, as they like to say, is a mind, because you need a mind to make a creation. Right. So
it's subjective within the mind of God.
It's within the mind of God, and you're just claiming then that the mind of God is objective. You haven't demonstrated that, in fact, the mind of God is objective, or that morals themselves are objective.
We have to first demonstrate that there is a mind of God.
What he's saying on a philosophical level, it just beggars belief. This is the problem with the transcendental argument, as far as I'm concerned. You have to assume certain philosophical positions, most of which are just unjustified. such as the modal type of logic that you're using. Anyway, Breakfast knows more about this because I've heard you give the transcendental argument for atheism, and or whatever it is.
All you have to do to defeat the transcendental argument that they present, if knowledge then God, and there's different formulations. Sometimes they say if morality or whatever, right? But if whatever quote unquote transcendental category thing, which isn't really a transcendental category, but if whatever transcendental category thing exists, then God, transcendental category thing exists, therefore God. All you have to do is provide an alternative account and you win.
Yeah, I mean the opposite version is called Tang, which is the transcendental argument for the non-existence of God. Right? And that if Tag goes through, then Tang goes through. So you're back at square one again, I'm afraid. But yeah, I think your way of doing it is more of a, I don't know, is using that kind of bump.
So I do want to say I popped in for two reasons. So number one, because of that unrighteous individual, and I just wanted to plug any other unrighteous individuals. I'm trying to get more debates going, and I need more unrighteous individuals to debate against the righteous atheists, right? And so if there are any unrighteous individuals in the chat, feel free to send me a DM. Also, the thing on the screen, I'm not saying anything good or bad about Jimbob or TJump. I know them both quite well at this point. But with that being said, that argument on the screen does not address the fact of the matter of TJump's moral field argument. If it's moral, immoral, it doesn't matter. It's a moral field. Just call it a moral field. Who cares? It doesn't address the hypothesis. Somebody was saying that somehow count. I think that was Simon saying that doesn't counter it, right? And the other guy was like, well, that counters it, right? It's not a contradiction if the field's immoral and it's imposing morality. Several people in chat were saying that too. It doesn't work like that. You would have to show some type of contradiction in the moral field existing, or show that it doesn't actually exist in reality. But even then, that doesn't address the argument that morality stems from the physical, right? And so I feel like all of that was just going off topic. And yeah, it might be an objection to say, hey, I don't like it, right? I don't like being under the influence of a moral field, but it's no different than an atheist saying, hey, I don't like being under the influence of an immoral God monster, right? Like it's the exact same thing, right? It's like the problem of evil, but except the problem of evil actually disproves the Bible God, whereas this problem of evil doesn't disprove it because it's not claiming that it's an all good thing, right? He's just saying that there's a state of affairs out there somewhere that's a field that exists that guides morality, right? None of the other objections matter at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is I pointed out that there is an error with P2 is kind of assuming that all laws of nature are an imposition of will. And he needs to tighten that up a little bit is what I was complaining about.
Yeah, I think you could say, you could change it to some laws of nature are an imposition of will. But maybe, I've also spoken to TJump at length on this, but this was a few years ago, so maybe he's changed his opinion, I don't know. But he was saying that, in a hypothetical place where the most moral situation would be where you could never have an imposition against your will. Now, I'm not sure that the physical universe is such a place, in which case, potentially all laws of nature could be an imposition of will. But like Taco said, who cares, right? Because the moral field is just describing what covers everything moral and immoral, right? And I find there are other problems with TJump's argument anyway. I mean, if you're saying that imposition of will is the maker for truth in a moral system, then will seems to be subjective, in which case the system must be subjective. But I don't know whether that's a good argument or not. I mean, I don't know what TJump would say because I've never said that to him. It just occurred to me that will might not be the most objective thing to base your moral system on.
I had coffee with TJump in Minneapolis 5 years ago, and I made a little note to work on and understand TJump's moral theory 5 years ago, and I haven't worked on it since. So,
and I agree with you, Mike. He is brilliant. I mean, he knows
a
lot about many areas.
Me and him went down to we went down to the ACA, and I introduced him Matt Dillahunty and Arn Ra, and that was when he was just starting out. But he and I went to Austin together. It was really interesting. We went on the Bat Cruise.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah,
I did that twice. One time I did that, it was really cool. We were on the Bat Cruise. Somehow Arn Ra forgot to get a ticket, and he didn't get to come on the Bat Cruise. And he was drunk on his ass, right? So we're on this huge boat, right? This like double decker floating fucking boat going down the river, and all of a sudden we hear "Ahoy, matey!" and it's Arn Ra in a kayak paddling up to us full speed, and he tried to board the boat. And he almost got caught in the propeller, and they had to push him off, and it was like hilarious. It was absolutely incredible.
Okay.
It was a good moment. It was a good moment to look out and see Arn Ra in a kayak attacking our ship. Right.
The time Arn Ra almost got lost his life in a massive propeller. Yeah. Oh,
I would like to make another comment on the moral field in this argument, though, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
If this argument on this screen goes through, then the problem of evil would go through as well for the theist. And then if that goes through, the moral field is going to win.
Okay. Elaborate.
Evil exists. Well, we could say the laws of nature exist. Nature exists. Maybe.
So I'm saying that if the problem of evil goes through, their God doesn't exist. If this goes through, the immoral field still doesn't have a contradiction.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think adding moral field in here is just a nothing burger, like I said.
And I don't agree with TJump's position on the moral field, just so you know. But it's much more founded than the Christian God position, or much more grounded, I should say.
Right. But he's just saying that that's a name. He's just giving that is the name that he's giving this field, which it can't even decide, right? I don't even know what this means, right? Imposition of will, right? Is he saying that there's something which regulates the imposition of will?
Yeah, there's something in Jump's argument about the imposition of will being.
Oh, I see. That's how he gets around the subjective thing. I'm with it now. Yeah, I get it. That's clever.
Something in there.
I'll have to rethink about that. There's a moral.
Yeah, the only thing I was interested in
sounds ad hoc to me, though.
I was only interested in what Jimbob said, where you started category jumping by saying, well, if morals are physical, then you should be able to pick them up and touch them and look at them. And it's like that kind of bullshit really drives me crazy when they do that.
I see.
If it's physical, obviously we can put it in a test tube and we can, mix some acid with it. And it's like, fuck you.
I think Jimbob was headed towards a point. He just never got there.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
I don't think he got there because he didn't really understand, as most people don't, TJump's answer.
They learned enough philosophy to be able to put together sentences in a certain way. And then and logical fallacy, when they learned to say that was like the worst thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
And begging the question is another one. You're begging the question. It's a logical fallacy. That's all you hear from them. It's like, no.
I asked a philosopher once, what's the difference between a tautology, begging the question, and there was a third one. And they're all so similar that I just thought, now, come on now. There's got to be a difference because they got different names. And I never got a good answer. So
for me, begging the question is like an enthymeme when you bury your conclusion inside of your premise.
that's right.
Premise one has your conclusion buried in there. You're begging the question, and it's called an enthymeme, I think, in some versions of logic.
That's right.
And they come up with this thing: A and B, therefore A. big fucking deal. It's how you fill in A and B. You got to look at each premise and see what kind of rhetorical tricks are being performed in order to arrive at the conclusion that they wanted to find for, right? I mean, you can put together all sorts of interesting, an infinite number of arguments that bear out whatever conclusion you pick out of your butt.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not impressed.
What were the three you were asking about?
I can't remember the third one now offhand. I'd have to be concentrating on it again.
ChatGPT might have it. Tautology, begging the question, tautology, and what else?
No, I can't remember what it is offhand. But I do remember Matt Slick had.
Was it going to be circular?
Oh yeah, it was. You're right, Taco. Yeah.
Oh, circular. Right. Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
Argument. Yeah, I got it. You know, a network has circles in it, right? So, like, there's a circular argument, which is just one circle, and then there is a network, which is kind of like what we deal with in naturalism. We have a network of knowledge and information that all supports each other, right? And that creates the construct of truth, because falsity only works in one particular path. It doesn't work in all paths. So when you look at like found herentism, they call it, basically this network view of epistemology, you know, that you don't have to go down to some foundation and work your way up. You are alive and have arrived in a network of knowledge and a complex natural world, and this is where we're at, and that is our epistemology, and that's what we're all doing. I mean, even the Biblican has to learn how to pick up an object, turn a page, and read shit in order to become a Christian, right? So I mean, it's all
Biblican?
based on this. Biblican, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, so, that's what I call.
I do have your answer.
What's that?
Oh, good. Yes, please.
Oh, good.
So, begging the question assumes the premises assume the truth of its conclusion, right?
Sorry. Okay, gone. Go ahead.
No worries. So it assumes the truth of the conclusion.
Assumes
truth. Right, rather than proving it.
Yeah.
Circularity, it just goes in a logical circle, right? So the conclusion is contained within the premises.
Yeah.
So like if A then B, so like begging the question would be like if A then B, B so A, right? So like the transitional argument. Circular, like the law should be obeyed because it's illegal to break the law, right?
Yeah.
You with me on that?
Right. Yeah.
And then tautology is just true by definition. So just like defining it, true stuff.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Tekka.
Yeah, like natural selection is the grandest tautology, basically. People attack it.
Or I might have said if A then B, B therefore if A then B, B therefore A, right? I think that's it. I was making sure I said it right.
Oh, is that,
I said it right earlier.
If A then
that's
A.
Yeah, that's not logic. That's not logically valid. That's not logically.
The other one is something about affirming the consequent.
It would be if and only if A then B, or A if and only if B. Then you could say B then A, but A then B, B therefore A would be a logic. Yeah.
So one of them again is just the conclusion is contained in the premises. One of them is
assumes the truth.
Assumes the truth.
Another one is true because it's true.
Yeah.
Bronze Age morality got your brain cooked, bro. That's a good one. Oh, what do we got to pay to get out of here, guys?
Don't know. I keep sending Mike fucking money and everything, but
I know.
Take it from me.
And Breakfast Tacos, I'm so glad you showed up. I mean, I would love to have more discussions with you if that's possible, but serious discussions about grounding and naturalism and all this bullshit. So I don't know. But anyway, thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. And I really love your stuff. You are an amazing person and you have amazing abilities. And really appreciate you.
I appreciate that. I'm just a normal dude like everyone else.
Yeah, but you got talent, dude. You
remind me on Saturday, and we'll plug that. Tacos is looking for people to debate and whatnot.
Yeah, Christians, because we get a lot of random Christians on Saturday night at the Atheists.
All the atheists are reaching out, and I mean, as you know, atheists are very righteous individuals, and so they're all reaching out saying, "Yeah, we'll defend the truth." And then I'm having a hard time finding Christians because they're so unrighteous that are willing to defend their delusion, right? And
right.
I don't know what else. And obviously, I have to moderate neutrally, right? And so I have to be very neutral in the debates, right? But I'm not committed to being neutral when I'm building the platform elsewhere, right? I don't think.
Yeah.
No, of course not. And you're not going to. I mean, JG is a good person to have in that debate, provided he behaves himself. I will say, because
no. Most presuppers will never debate in a formal debate. Like Jimbob and Jay Dyer and I don't know any other presuppers, but like they're exceptions to the rule, right? But most presuppers won't actually do a formal debate. Although I do have to give credit to Wi-Fi Gospel, who's going to be doing a debate coming up. Wi-Fi Gospel, I see him doing debates all the time, right? Like formal debates, and I do have to give him credit because most presuppers won't do that.
Yeah, I think also, you come from a part of the community which is kind of heavy deep into refuting presuppers, right? The Jack Ainstrike crowd, and that whatever that one is, politics and religion.
I'm not part of that group, but those guys are pretty cool, and the Tom Rabbit guys, and they're all pretty cool. And they're very smart, and that's like more Monkey Boy. Like Monkey Boy is friends with them all, and he learns a lot from them all. I hang out on politics Discord. Those guys hang out in the politics and religion Discord, and so I'm dealing with a different group. But there's still educated people in the politics Discord. It's just a different group of people.
Yeah, so I think when you come from that area, there are very few presuppers that will take them on because they know that Darth has been destroyed so many fucking times. And let's face it, quite a lot of them do worship Darth, so there is that. But JG is one of the ones who will sit down and have a conversation, at least to the point where he doesn't have to interrupt every 5 seconds or have mod controls. And I will say that about him. His arguments are no better than anybody else's, any other presupper that I've met.
The thing I've noticed, though, is none of these arguments are going to convince the in-group, right? And so, whether it's an atheist in-group or a theist in-group, none of these arguments are going to convince the in-group, right? What you're doing, the point of these discussions is to convince the people that aren't a part of that in-group that one of the sides is wrong, right? And so I feel like when you're having a debate, anybody that has read anything in philosophy, at least with a presupper, most of the time understands that a lot of what they're saying is nonsense, right? And that's just how, like that guy, he used the fallacy wrong and lost all credibility, right? That's why I came on here, because he was being an unrighteous individual. He was claiming that people were making fallacies that they weren't. I made a video about using fallacies properly, and that was one of the fallacies I mentioned in there. And obviously he didn't see that video, right? I feel like it's very important to not claim that people are using fallacies in conversation just to dismiss a point, because it's just dismissing the point for a bad reason. Sorry, I've got to
I completely agree. I mean, if you say that is such and such a fallacy, you should explain what the fallacy is and how the person was guilty of using the fallacy.
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
If you did make one, that's fine. Please tell me or whoever why we made that fallacy so we can correct our reasoning, right? Just because you made a fallacy, though, doesn't mean you came to the wrong conclusion, but it means you came to the conclusion for the wrong reason, right? And so please say why the reasoning is wrong so whoever can correct it. Don't just say you made a fallacy and then dismiss the whatever's being said and not tell them why there's a fallacy, right? Because most of the time that's just like a psychological thing that they're doing, that because some cognitive dissonance was triggered that causes them to say that's a fallacy, so I can dismiss what you're saying. instead of just addressing the point.
Yeah, it's a way to it's a way to get out of having to make the point just to justify whatever point they made. But like I think also I don't know if you remember this, but Matt Slick had a 2-hour discussion with Alex Malpass on his version of Tag. And it was 2 hours, over 2 hours, that Alex Malpass tried to explain to him what fallacies were involved in his Tag argument. And at the end of 2 hours, over 2 hours, Matt Slick still didn't understand what fallacies he made.
You want to hear a story about Matt Slick that hopefully doesn't get me sued?
Okay, go ahead.
So I was in Discord the other day, and I was trying to find a competitor for Jail Warren, right? And Matt Slick popped into the channel. And Matt Slick was like, yeah, I'll do it, but I need you to sign legal documents, and I need Jail Warren to sign legal documents, and this and that. Like, he was putting out a whole list of stuff. And I'm like, bro, you are insane. What's going to happen is I'm going to have you sign a bunch of legal documents. I'm not signing shit. And Jail Warren's not signing shit. And you're going to pay me $500 to come on my platform now. And I mean, that's pretty much where we're at now. But like that's a pre-supper, right? Like there's so like oftentimes, not all, because like straight up Jimbob and Jay Dyer constantly debate this. Those guys are an exception to the rule. But like they have to have stuff oftentimes leaning in their favor to even engage in debate. Jimbob doesn't care if he's taking the affirmative or the negative. He just wants to go into the conversation. Jay Dyer, same thing, right? And so I give them props, right? I disagree with their positions, but I have to give them props for their level of
I don't know.
For them being willing to engage, right?
I feel Jay Dyer is extremely condescending when he starts losing an argument.
Yeah, he didn't used to be. I saw him, I think, with Alex Malpass once, and he used to be a lot more humble.
Oh,
he's a little humble when he's around, when he's with a professional philosopher.
You should have seen him with
and
the
Alex
guy. There was a guy
Malpass
before that, and he was terrible with him. I mean, he really was. But
Alex Malpass is so gentle. You know, I mean,
exactly. I think he's the exception. He's what makes people less reasonable or more reasonable when he talks. Do you remember that one with Darth that he had?
No,
Alex.
And
TJump, the one with TJump as well. Like he just
Malpass
at the end, Alex. Yeah, they talked about TJump's moral system.
Oh my god!
And basically, Malpass just said, "Well, okay, I mean that's just not what I call the moral system, so we'll just pass on that."
Yeah, Malpass is just real gentle, sometimes too gentle. I thought he was too gentle with Jay Dyer. I think he should have jumped all over his ass. But
anyway. They did a review of it afterwards, I think. Oh no, it was somebody else. I think it was Dillahunty that then debated Jay Dyer, and Malpass came on to do the review of that debate and talked about the debate that he had with him.
Yeah, I did a whole thing on 7 coconuts with Jay Dyer, where I came up with this whole weird physical models that explain why numbers are real in the world, and the 7 and because he did this thing that 7 coconuts basically defeat atheism. Like, I don't know.
You want to see something really funny? I put it in the private chat, but this is a quick 30-second video of Jay Dyer that you should absolutely show on stream real fast.
Okay,
this is from the Jay Dyer TJump.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that is funny.
Hang on a second here.
It shows you what we're dealing with.
Oh shit, it's short. So can I go back to the beginning of that son of a bitch? Yeah, I can. Okay, let me I gotta present it, otherwise you won't be able to hear it. Oh, cool.
I was dying laughing when I saw this live. Like I watched I don't know if it was live, but when it was premiering, I was watching the whole video and I was dying laughing at this part. I had to clip it.
Okay, we'll play it. Oh, why is my sound not working? What the fuck? Okay, where the hell's sound on this piece of shit shorts? Oh,
right at the top.
It looks like it's muted at the top.
It means it's sound. It means it's a sound.
Hold on a second. What the?
The presuppositional approach.
Jeez, I hate shorts. They are so. Let me try this again.
Like me, Mike, you are so old. Like the kids are laughing now, going, he doesn't even can't even short.
What does valid mean? What does valid mean?
C is a necessary condition.
What does valid mean?
A, therefore C. It means it's sound. It means it's a sound argument.
What does valid mean? What does valid mean?
Z is a necessary condition.
What does valid mean?
A, therefore C. It means it's sound.
Oh my God!
It means it's a sound argument.
What does valid mean? What does valid mean?
Oh, so he didn't even know what valid and sound meant.
He does.
Look at that straight face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
I
saying
know.
it for he's saying it for his crowd because whoever it is that he's debating, I think.
Yeah, and he's got that shitty little whiteboard. I've never seen such a. I've got like 5 8-foot whiteboards, you know, and he's got this shitty little whiteboard. I feel sorry for him.
Z is the precondition. A therefore Z.
Yeah, listen to Dyer talk.
I don't know of anything more circular. First of all, that doesn't mean it's sound, right? For sure, it just means it's valid. So, and even then, saying God therefore God isn't really much of an argument.
Yep.
But, I mean,
reminds me of
whatever.
Oh, God, what the hell was his name? The guy that wrote the Magus and he wrote the Collector. He wrote a little philosophy book. Oh God, what the hell was his name? Anyway, I found him when I was like, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. And I discovered philosophy and I got a notebook. And it was like, oh, I can write all this bullshit down on paper and I'm doing philosophy. And I was like really excited about it. And I would love to find that notebook and laugh at myself. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It's like, oh, all you got to do is write some bullshit down and, you know, in little aphorisms, right? I forget what it was. I'll have to look it up.
I had a really bad experience with philosophy when I was younger. I was at school with this guy who was an absolute genius. He went to Oxford, and Oxford gave him a place at university based upon him getting 2 E passes at A level, which means they'd accept him regardless of what he did. He didn't, of course. He got 5 or 6 A levels, whatever. Went to Oxford. And he was a brilliant physicist. We used to sit together in class, and he'd explain everything the teacher was saying, right? And if the teacher got it wrong or didn't know, the teacher would ask him, right? Including quantum mechanics, all right? So having explained all this stuff to me and the rest of the class for 2 years, right? He goes off to university to do his physics degree. And I saw him like 3 years later, and he came back, and I said, oh, wow, how did you get on, man? Like, how was your physics degree? And he goes, oh, I didn't finish it. And I said, well, what do you mean you didn't finish? He said, well, I got to year 2 and I decided to do philosophy as well. And I got halfway through the philosophy degree and I couldn't do physics anymore.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, shit, really? And he went, yeah. In the end, I just had to drop out of physics and try and finish the philosophy degree. I got to go back next year. And I was like, fuck's sake, mate.
Now,
Anyway,
I do want to clarify, if Jay Dyer watches this, that is funny as shit to me that you said that, but I would still love to platform you for a debate. I don't hate you. I just think that's super fucking fun, super freaking funny.
The book I was referring to is The Aristos by John Fowlis, and it's a collection of several hundred philosophical aphorisms. And that was my first introduction to philosophy when I was a kid. So
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, it was. I should buy that and read it. I don't know if I lost my original copy. Me and my friend used to go to Brown Drug and steal books. And back in the '60s, they had the Dante's Inferno, and they had Greek tragedies, and they had the history of Western morals at a drugstore, right in the book part. I mean, what happened to the world that you go there now and all you find is John Grisham novels and
romance novels. But like,
I mean, this was like in the 1960s in northern Minnesota. They had Dante's Inferno at the drugstore for people to buy. It's like, wow. And the history of Western morals. I mean, goddamn, that was a good book.
I know that's a heavy title. My dad had The History of Western Philosophy by Bertrand Russell on the bookshelf, right, as a whole series of books. And I started reading it, but my God, I was so bored.
Me and my friend Mac would steal books every Friday because we couldn't afford them. So I still have some of them. Like the library up there had one organic chemistry book, and I stole the goddamn thing. And without any thought for the kids that came after me, right, that were looking for an organic chemistry book, and I stole it. I went back to that library when my friend Mac died. He had a library that was probably worth about $25,000, and I offered to donate all those books to the library to pay back for what me and Mac stole when we were kids. And they asked me, they said, well, are they like crime novels or, fiction? And I said, no, it's encyclopedia of philosophy and neuroscience. And, one book is called The Senses, that goes through the philosophy of sensory perception. And they said, oh, no, people wouldn't be interested in that. And they turned me down.
Wow.
So I got them in my library. It's like, what the fuck?
Wow.
What is wrong with the world? What is wrong? I mean, there's got to be a kid up there that's brilliant, that's walking around, that's looking for those goddamn books, and he ain't going to find them. And I feel real bad about that. I don't know.
I went to a used bookstore a few months ago, and I was, obviously they have some like cheap philosophy books and stuff, but the good stuff was all like $200-300 for like 3 of them, and there were like multiple collections. Yeah, it was all super expensive.
What the fuck? Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I buy books through Amazon. They're used books. Sometimes you can buy for $1 or $2, and every now and then you'll find one that's like $300-400. My kids bought me some neuroscience books that cost them $600 for a 2-volume set on the thalamus. Wow. Which I really appreciate my kids. They bought me some wonderful things. That I love those books. Anyway. But yeah, they want a fortune for fucking books. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to go that way, though, isn't it? I suppose. But
it
nobody
is.
buys them, so they got to charge more for them.
I'm not promoting piracy by any means, but
I know. I know what you mean.
But these days, most of the people that I talk to have found most of their literature online somehow. And once again, I'm not promoting piracy by any means.
Yeah, and that particular site has been down for a couple of weeks, and I would never use that site, and I would never go there, but I do check to see if it's up once in a while. And I don't know what's happened to it, but I would never do that. I spent $20,000 on books in 2020. I added it up, and it was over $20,000 that I paid for textbooks and all that shit. And I feel like I have definitely done my part. And that was just 1 year, so. That was when I actually had money, and I don't have it anymore at all. So, yeah, what the fuck? Okay, guys, can you get up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, yeah, thank you for showing up. Okay, we're going to end the stream. Anybody got any parting words? Final shot, Dave, Saturday night at the Atheist at 4 p.m. in the 1-2 time zone. Central Time and 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. I got an interesting fella to look at too.
Okay, good.
Ooh, good sounds exciting.
Yep.
He's in Wayne's World a little bit.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay.
Love a little Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're out of here.
Thanks very much. Interesting.
All righty. Yep.
See you later.
And